Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 563. It is July 12th, 2018. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined this evening by Bradley Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Before we get too far...
On to feedback.
No, Chris... Brad, you can derail me like nobody else. It's ridiculous. What was I saying?
Did you say Brad can rail you?
Derail me.
You were going to tell a story.
Deep rail you?
Brad, you can rail me anytime.
Damn it. That's a quote. I'll get to the story. I was
just say it.
Oh my god.
Just don't even set it up. Just start talking.
Crispy and I saw Hereditary last night. If you don't know
up.
what it is, go watch the trailer. It's a fucked up scary movie. What I was trying to get at, because Brad went and saw a week ago or whatever, and went home to his home with his wife and his kid. It was fine. I went home to this movie after seeing it, went straight to a big house by myself because Robin's out of town right now.
Well,
it's just me. It's just me and the cat. Just me and the cat. And the reason, so I have this thing about sleeping with open doors. It freaks me out. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I see a door open and all you see is like the dark silhouette of the door, like that shit freaks me out. So I like to sleep with the door closed. The cat can't handle closed doors. She freaks the fuck out when the door's closed and starts like clawing at the door all night. So I had to leave the doors open. So that's why I was extra just like fucked up last night trying to sleep because I'm sitting here.
Did you look at the doorway and see the silhouette of the cat?
I was like closing my eyes so hard, just like don't think about it, don't think about it.
Tonight, are you going to have to leave the door open?
Yeah.
Whatever you do, just tonight.
Don't say it. Don't you
specifically?
Don't you fucking say it.
There will be someone standing there.
God. I fucking hate you.
So just keep your eyes closed, Nick, and everything will be fine.
I will say this: if you like horror films, I would personally recommend going to see Hereditary, especially if you can see it in theaters. I think the theater maybe elevated it a little bit for me because it has some crazy sound effects.
It could use some editing. I mean, that thing is like almost 2.5 hours long.
I agree,
dude. It was originally 3 hours long.
Fuck that.
And they cut it down.
I do agree with you. We can talk about that later. But
okay.
You know what I will say that scared? I kept picturing or thinking about in my head.
Yeah.
All day. I've been thinking about it.
Dude, see, Nick, that had no effect on me. Nick
jumped so fucking hard the first time that happened.
Not only that, so when they do that little jump scare, I grabbed Crispy's arm, and then I looked to my left to the stranger sitting next to me, and he was looking back at me, and we were both like,
dude, Nick scared other people.
Honestly, that just seemed like that movie had so many ideas in it.
Yes,
and that was just one other gimmick, and that one really didn't.
I would like to have a conversation about that movie at some point with y'all, now that we've seen it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is not a movie podcast. We do those, though, as part of 4Player Plus, which is our bonus podcast series. But tonight, it's our regular video game podcast. We're going to talk about fucking video games. I hope Chris Davis has the feedback pulled up from last week so I can read some feedback. While he's doing that, I will say this: if you're new to us or you haven't catched the show in a while, please join us in Discord. We have a community Discord. It's free. You can find it at discord.gg/4player. It is by far the best place to be if you want to be a part of the community and stay active and keep in touch with us and find out what's going on in our community. You can also support us on Patreon if you want to go over to patreon.com/4player. Anyways, like I said, we start out the show every week with feedback from our last episode, and we had a lot this week. So last week, you may remember, we talked about Dying Light for like an hour, and then we did our top.
That last week?
That was last week, and then we
did that actually happen?
Can I start with? Does anyone in the comments mention anything about the sequel?
About Chris Avalon? No, I don't think so.
I feel bad that we didn't bring it up because we were like arguing about like the story and its qualifications and whatever. You know,
and nobody mentioned.
And no one mentioned the fact that Chris Avalon is writing the sequel, and he's like the best writer in the business. So I feel like if Dying Light has any chance of having a good story, like the sequel's it. So we'll see for that. True, that's kind of exciting.
But anyways, like I said, we're going to read some feedback from last week. Thank you guys. Thank you to anybody who leaves feedback. We really do appreciate it. Also, if you do leave feedback, it enters you in a drawing for a monthly game giveaway. Last month we picked 2 winners for the past 2 months, Krita and Drew327, who got a free copy of Octopath Traveler and Resident Evil Revelations 2. All you got to do is if we say anything on the show that you have an opinion about that you'd like to share, head on over to 4playernetwork.com, find the post for this episode, leave us a comment, and we'll read and address it at the beginning of the next episode. So, first comment this week comes from Mr. Green Toast. He said, I love the episode, guys, but just wanted to clear up a quick topic that seemed to have gotten some heated debate without much clarity during it. There's a few of these here. We did get a little heated last week. I decided to go through all the mixed reviews of Dying Light on Metacritic so that we can kind of clear up some confusion on the low scores, and found out that while some found the story a bit boring at times, their main issue seemed to be around calling the combat a clone of Dead Island, and they didn't like the matchmaking at the time. One reviewer even wished the game had added double jumps and wall runs, while another called the co-op aspects lazy and felt like it made the game too easy. The list goes on, but overall, there was always one tiny aspect that pushed each reviewer to the edge of giving it a 7 out of 10, despite the reviews calling it a good game. Makes sense. And like I said, we did mention a little bit of Dead Island. It does share a lot of DNA with Dead Island. Brett, were you on Twitter suggesting that you tweeted about comparing the scores between Dead Island and Dying Light. Were you considering playing Dead Island?
Well, I mean...
Did I interpret that tweet correctly?
Yeah, I mean, that was what I originally suggested, and ever since I have done that, everyone was like, dude, don't be stupid. You know?
Don't do it,
I'm like, well, but I really, really like Dying Light, and, you know, I like the studio. Why not go back and kind of see where all this started? You know?
Mean, I will very much...
For historical reasons, you know?
I didn't finish Dead Island, but I played a good amount of it. Yeah. And to be honest, one thing I liked about Dead Island was that, like, the kind of the juxtaposition of, like, the super tropical, like, vacation island with, like, the zombies. Like, I think that was kind of a cool, novel concept. And but the thing is, Dying Light very much feels kind of like a do-over. If you play them back to back, it's kind of
sure. And then I posted a screenshot of, like, the Metacritic score suggesting, like, hey, this game did not get, like worse reviews, even, like, you know, depending, you know, on the platform or whatever. It got, in some cases, it got better reviews from different outlets.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people are suggesting it's just some garbage fire.
I mean, I don't know. That's a good question.
I think so much controversy about that.
Can we not go down this rabbit hole?
Right. There's value to be found, though. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about. Let's read. Nope. Nexus. There we go. Thank you. Hey guys, regarding Nolan's comment that not enough games are set in Singapore, or Southeast Asia in general. While it's true that that's a region that could definitely use more exposure in the name of more interesting gaming locales, there's a few noteworthy games that have been set there. Far Cry 3 and Just Cause 2 come to mind.
Just Cause 2 is a real place?
I mean, I think it's a fictional place set in a real region. He also says, P.S. I grew up in Malaysia, right next to Singapore, and the terrible forced accents in Just Cause 2 are both hilarious and extremely cringeworthy.
Good to know.
Thank you, Nexus.
I remember very, very vividly, I was in the 3rd grade, and some girl in my class, I believe her name was Daisy.
Okay.
She was from Malaysia. And she brought Malaysian candy for all the kids in class.
Brad.
And it was so gross.
Talking to your mic.
It was so gross. It was so gross.
What was it?
I'll never forget that taste. I don't know. It was just candy from Malaysia.
I bet you it was just like trash. And they're like, oh, this is Malaysian candy. You'll love this. And it was just like Malaysian they chewed up some gum and rolled it in sprinkles.
The wrapper was yellow. I remembered the color of the wrapper. That's how much it traumatized me.
Are you sure it wasn't a butterscotch?
We value all cultures at 4Player Network.
But it could not have been worse than the black licorice you brought a few weeks ago. Ugh. Anyways,
salted black licorice.
Salted black licorice. That was god awful. Anyways, can you scroll down a little bit more, Chris Davis? Thank you. Revike says, despite the Dying Light topic not being anywhere near what Nick had hoped for, I thought it was fantastic. Definitely one of the best conversations in a long time.
Nick thought we were going to put a copy of, like, the box in the middle of the room. We were all going to, like, come on it. The last person to come on the Dying Light box had to
play it.
Yeah, had to play it.
God damn it. This took a dark turn. Anyways, as for the game itself, I kind of fall in the category Krispy talked about. I tried the game both on PS4 and PC, both solo and co-op, but never really felt the urge to finish it. Or play beyond the first zone. Definitely not a bad game or anything. I guess it just never clicked for me, which is strange because I loved Dead Island when it originally came out. That is strange. Maybe it really is a pacing issue.
That's
early
a vote
on in the
for
game.
Dead Island there, Brett.
Well, again, let's not talk about it like it's just some trash game.
Maybe. For sure.
Just because the Hoodoo Ya Voodoo bitch, and then that
I forgot about
initial teaser trailer, which everyone thought was like a great short film or whatever the fuck at the time.
Dude,
but like the cool part of
I don't recall that being the
a lot of people were praising it.
The cool part of Dead Island was the analog. You could like fucking Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah,
I mean, but not quite that good.
Yeah,
you know, I will say the other day I was thinking about it because I was starting to have like fairly fond memories of Dead Island. I was like, well, maybe Dead Island 2 will like take lessons from Dying Light and then give us the Dead Island, like the tone and atmosphere of Dead Island that we deserved in the first game. And then I was like, but I saw that game at E3 like 2 or 3 years ago and it looked like trash.
I think it's a different
but,
game, different developer.
I know.
now.
And then I looked it up and I found out it's a different developer. And I was like, I don't even recognize the name of the developer. And I was like, oh, this is probably
this is sold really well.
This does not bode well.
So another reason I thought about Dead Island is because I was like, we were talking about like things that Dying Light 2 could do, and I was like, it'd be so cool if like the city flooded and maybe you'd have a boat and there'd be like zombies underwater and you'd have to like, you know, dive down to like get into buildings and stuff. It'd be cool.
Just want underwater exploration.
And then but there was a sequel to Dead Island called Dead Island Riptide, which was all about like flooding, I think. So maybe I should just play that.
I forgot they made that.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Oh my god. Anyways, moving on. Haste says, I actually thought the Dying Light discussion was great and very intriguing, even if it did get a little heated. Each of the points I heard from y'all seemed well thought out and was helpful to me in understanding the game's apparent strengths and flaws from multiple perspectives. Also, the discussion kept my attention long enough so that I didn't want to go get food until it was done. Well, thank you, Haste. We appreciate the kind words as always. So Sir Thomas Thipple left 2 comments. The first one being some constructive criticism, which is, you know,
we hate
necessary.
We really don't like that.
We did get very heated, but I would rather read the second part of the comment. If you want to check out the first part, you can head on over to 4playernetwork.com. I'm just going to kind of... This is a very long one. So we do appreciate the constructive criticism, but he says, I love when you guys have conflicting views on games. It's when having 4 different people on the show works at its best. It gives the listener a breadth of different experiences, opinions, interpretations, etc. I want more of these types of conversations to happen. But you have to drive the conversation forward. Be clear with your thoughts and feelings. Don't add fluff. Don't get caught up in emotions, and don't recycle points that have already been clarified. Good point. Well said.
That's like what I was saying last week.
Yeah, you know.
Don't get me wrong.
We were all heated.
Thomas, can I call you Thomas?
It's actually Thomas.
Sorry, Thomas.
We can call him Thipple.
Mr. Thipple. I agree with you, and it can be tough. Like, and from an outsider perspective, you can definitely see where everyone is right and where they're wrong. Like, because you're just watching them. You're watching this event unfold, and so you can. We all hear the circles that are going on, and I don't think any of us are happy that but it's just more of like when you have an opinion, you want that opinion to be heard, and so you might reiterate yourself a bit. So don't get me wrong, I definitely agree with you, and I don't enjoy when the circular conversations happen because it doesn't feel like, it just feels like you're treading water.
At the end of the day, though, all that matters is that people enjoyed it, right? Listeners enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Dead Island. All that matters is that you enjoy my favorite fucking game.
You mean Dying Light?
Dying Light. What else?
Anyways,
same game.
Moving on. Resident Daryl says, "Hey guys, first time writing in. Nick asked for feedback on how we listen to the show. Wow, he's a little bit behind.
It was a while ago, but yeah.
So I wanted to say I listen every week on iTunes while at work between my PC and my iPhone. I really enjoy the show for multiple reasons. One being you guys always make me laugh. The poop knife combo has been great. I listened to the show."
Dude, we were literally talking about poop knives at work today. That is crazy that came up.
Yeah, it's weird, right? This was from last week. You know that, right?
Resident Daryl, you're not Niraj, are you? Because the reason it came up is because Niraj just listened to that episode.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Niraj also go by Daryl?
Not often.
Daryl is short for Niraj.
Is that a nickname?
He says, as for video games, Dying Light is one of the best games to be released this generation. Yes! I'm looking forward to the
You didn't win anything, Nick.
I win! I feel vindicated. I'm just kidding. I'm really enjoying the Resident Evil series playthrough Nick is doing, and wanted to say that even though it isn't a Resident Evil game, Dying Light makes me feel like I'm Chris Redfield in first person, since Roger Craig Smith does the voiceover, and the melee combat against the zombies is fantastic. Keep up the good work. Wow.
We should get fake business cards, or I guess they would be real.
If you make them, they're real.
We should get business cards that say like Nick Henderson, the developer of Dying Light, and like Chris Davis, developer of Hat in Time.
Yeah.
You know, all the get even.
What would I be the developer of, Brad?
Crypta the Necrodancer, or no, Binding of Isaac.
I'll take both of those.
What about Crispy? You've done everybody on the couch except for Crispy.
What's the one game Crispy never shuts up about?
No Man's Sky?
Fan fiction writer on Overwatch.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Fucking
Overwatch
community
writer?
manager for Overwatch.
Oh my god. And our last comment comes from Ichi's Kid, says, when Dying Light first launched, the frame rate was pretty terrible for me, as well as occasional crashing. I decided to just wait until the post-launch content plus patches were out, and I'm happy to say my frame rate has tripled since day one.
Yeah.
The optimization issues on PC, plus the things Crispy mentioned, are probably why I got lower scores. I still remember it being kind of a popular game outside of game sites, though. I know lots of console players that had a blast with it while I abstained for better optimization.
Not just that,
PC.
but I'm playing a version that is like has been heavily supported. Mm-hmm. Not just with patches, but with content.
I mean, that's,
like,
that's the good thing about Techland, especially, is they're not. I don't know.
They're still releasing content.
But no, yeah. The fact is, they really do seem to care about the game, and they care about the fans, and they're constantly looking for feedback and releasing new content for the people. And they'll like fucking put out infographics about like, oh, there's been this many like zombie kills and this blah blah blah. So I mean, at least similar to like something like CD Projekt Red, they clearly show that they care about their game and they care about the people. They don't want to just release it and say, oh, it only sold 1 million copies. That's a failure. Let's move on. Let's cancel.
I think the Dying Light I've been playing is not necessarily the same Dying Light as what he's been playing.
So you're playing PC or?
No, I wish I was.
Wait, are you playing on PS4?
Yeah, I play on PS4 because I was doing co-op.
I mean, I played it on PS4 and loved it.
But now that I did solo, I kind of wish I had done it on PC. But you were saying in the footage like I had a bow and arrow.
I never used.
You never even saw.
I never used the bow.
Or you never used it. Okay, I'm wondering. I was wondering if that was like a.
I wouldn't be surprised
edition.
if there was later weapons added. I don't remember.
So the thing is, I bought Dying Light, and then they a year later or 2 years later or something, they re-released Dying Light with the following DLC on like a collector's disc or whatever, or Game of the Year edition or something.
Yeah,
and I bought that, so that has all of the DLC on it. But I haven't really played. I popped it in and played the following on that disc, but I never picked up the bow and arrow when we were playing.
What was the following? What?
But
the following was the one with the buggies. Wait, Nolan's making a dad joke again. Let's go.
You said I played the following, and I'm assuming you were going to say something that you played.
Oh my god, that really was a dad joke.
I played the following Dying Light.
You know why?
Singularity.
Do you know why you get that, Brad? Because you're a dad.
No. It's not like
Brad's a dad. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all the feedback this week. We really do appreciate hearing from you guys. So, like I said, if you have any thoughts after tonight's discussions, please head on over to 4playernetwork.com, leave us a comment, and we will read those at the beginning of the next episode. So, with that said, let's move on to video games. We have some stuff to discuss. Brad?
Yeah.
I don't know which one of the two games you brought is newer, but I'm definitely newer than mine.
Well, I would say
pick one. Just pick one.
What I was gonna say is Radiant Historia is a like an enhanced port, but then I thought that originally came out for the DS. But then I was like, well, Game 4 has been in development maybe as long as like this original DS game.
Game 4?
Yeah, because I've been playing the Behemoth's Game 4.
Oh.
Right?
I like how I'm watching Chris Davis pick up on your cues better than I can.
Yeah, Pit People, known back then as Pit Game 4, was been like in every PAX since we started going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I knew it looked familiar when I looked up screenshots today. I was like, oh, it's that PAX game that we've seen.
So someone should actually look that up. Look up the announcement of Game 4 and the release date for Radiant Historia on the original DS. I would like to know which one came first. Because if it's Pit People, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
Pit People.
Anyways, I've been playing Pit People. And you heard about this? You know about this?
I mean,
it looks familiar.
only know what I've seen at PAX, which is
this came out a couple months ago to very little fanfare, which is kind of unfortunate because you think of Behemoth as taking forever to make their games, but when they finally put them out, they're like big sell successes, and that affords them the freedom to work on these games for years. But I'm worried maybe that this one is not going to do that.
I will still never forget hearing Nolan and Krispy and Bernadette playing Battle Block Theater together in the living room, and I don't know what I was like. I went to bed or something earlier. I don't know what it was, but like,
that's a great story.
It was
Nick.
the loudest thing I've ever heard.
That was good.
Is this not?
This is a cool developer.
They do cool shit.
Yeah, they do.
This is hard to describe. It's not just hard to describe. It was very hard for me to figure out, but I think I finally figured it out. It is a strategy, like a tactics game, like a tactical party-based, turn-based RPG, but they've done it in such a way to where it moves very quickly, like very fast. You kind of queue up all your turns, and everybody moves at the same time, and the enemy all attacks you at the same time, and it can look like absolute fucking chaos. And
that's what I'm talking about. They make chaotic games.
That is not even like. That's an understatement with this game, because it took me a good hour before I could even like process what I was looking at on the screen. And I'm not even talking about once I'm in a battle. Once you're in a battle, that's when it's like the most comprehensible. But as soon as you boot up this game, like I feel this game makes me feel older than any other game I've ever played, because so much is going on the screen. Did you start from the very beginning of this footage out of curiosity?
Yes.
Okay.
You said to.
Yeah. No, like there's like this city, this hub city, where you go to do all your things like shop and equip your dudes and recruit new dudes and buy.
That's where you were a minute ago.
Oh, is that where I was?
Hub city? I don't know. I'm asking.
Like I'm still looking.
Was I? I don't know.
I was still trying to figure out what's going on that screen.
So first of all,
like the UI is not good in this.
Is there first of all? So just as someone who's never
here's a battle.
I've never really had much explained to me. Holy shit! In this game, but like, is there significance to like the hexagonal?
Well, I mean, that's just a.
Or is that just
fancier
is that
than
just the look of
squares?
the game? So those are movement squares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but I mean, a lot of turn-based tactics games use hexes. I mean, that's more of
They're just easier for movement.
That's more of a traditional like tactics is use this hexes. I would say like the square style that was popularized with like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff is not wasn't the more common.
I think it was more of just like I feel like it's much more dense than like some of the tactics games I've seen. Like the movement squares are much smaller, so there's like so many more options as to where you can go and move and whatnot. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining that. I don't play.
Well, I mean, the idea behind a hex is that you have more angles of whatever,
more directions.
Hexes, they've been around in strategy games forever.
Theorem and...
Yeah, but look at what's going on here.
What I would like to get. Tell me what exactly is going on.
Okay, so this is the battle. When you're outside of battle, you move around the world. You get into battles. You go do your main quest. There's side quests. There's exploration, and you're finding things. But once you do encounter like an enemy on the world map as you're moving around, it starts one of these tactical battles, and this is where I guess the meat of the gameplay happens. And all I can say is it was really hard to kind of process at first, but once you get it down, it is actually really kind of fun. I guess the one sort of crazy, almost unique thing about this tactics game versus others is that you don't have a lot of direct control over exactly what you're doing, in a sense. I guess because they want it to move very fast, all you do is tell your person what hex to stand on, and he will do what he does, sometimes randomly and sometimes based on a basic set of rules. Like, for example, an archer on the enemy team is always like 90% of the time going to shoot at what's the enemy, the guy that's closest to him, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes a straight arrow will go for another guy, but because that unit is closest to that archer, he's going to shoot at that guy, right? But that also applies for your archers. So you can't tell your archer where to shoot. He's just going to shoot at whatever's closest. So
you're just positioning them to.
So the meta comes into kind of gaming the positioning of all your guys and the enemies to do what you want them to most likely he's going to do based on proximity.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on proximity. Not all units work like that. I mean, generally speaking, if you walk up to an enemy and stand right next to him, and in your turn, you're going to attack that guy. Mm-hmm. But if there's two, he's going to randomly choose. Ah. So that's where it comes into like gaming, isolating enemies, possibly.
Does the game tell you any of this, or is this all stuff that you've kind of gleaned to yourself?
Fuck, dude. I mean, so much of this I felt like I had to figure out on my own.
Was there a tutorial you just skipped?
No. There's absolutely a tutorial.
We've played it a bunch of times at PAX.
Yeah.
It does explain how to play, but like I think that tutorial is pretty like it's like
flashing and like screaming at you. I'm telling you, so much of this UI I'm staring at this. Like, look at the stream last night, or did I? Yeah, I streamed this 2 nights ago, I think.
Last night was the one where you played after me.
Okay, yeah, I streamed it last night. There was me looking at various menus and like home cities, and I'm like, my mouth is agape, and I'm just looking at all aspects of it. It's like you're front row at an IMAX, you know what I mean? And you can't look at just one thing. You're just your eyes are darting around everywhere. It's insane. And then the music is loud and kind of incredible. Like, the music is really good in this game, but it's just overwhelming your senses. So you don't just have the fact that the tutorials are kind of just in your face and very flippant about it, honestly, because that's sort of the attitude of this game, I feel like. But the fact that it's just hard to process what you're seeing and hearing has made it a very hard game to become comfortable with.
But do you think that's an intentional design decision?
I think it might be. You know, I mean, this whole game is like non sequiturs and stuff. Like, none of this stuff even makes sense in terms of like the story. It's absolute insanity. Like, insanity is the theme of this game. And it does have a lot of the really funny voice acting and humor that you've come to expect from their games. In fact, I think this might be their funniest game to date. And it's just really great. Now all your little dudes, they don't actually have spoken lines. They're just like, it's like Simlish or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's such well acted Simlish. You know what I mean? It's like the best voice act. It's the best gibberish voice acting I've ever heard.
This is the best
it honestly sounds like if you took a Canadian from South Park and put him in The Sims. That's what these characters sound like, and it's fucking hilarious. Because I mean, you just gotta play this fucking game. The story's insane. I mean, your son. I mean, y'all played the demo at PAX, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the start of the game where you play as Horatio, and the big bear lands on the planet,
giant, like,
and they're destroying everything,
bear,
and all of a sudden the bear like punches the house that your son's in. Yeah, that's the start. He kills your son at the beginning
I don't
of the
think
game.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I definitely remember the image of like the dead bear floating in space, and like
that's how the
landing
game
on the
starts.
planet. Like,
It's a space bear?
yeah, dude, it's like a planet-sized space bear that like lands on this world.
It's just absolute insanity. Like, I was fighting this one fight, not in this footage, I don't think. But I think I'm almost done with this battle. Not really, actually. I was fighting this battle, and it was like a boss battle, and it was like a castle siege almost. And I finally get to like the boss of the castle. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna finish him off. And then all of a sudden, the bear like flies down a space shuttle because he's giant, and I guess he's up in space and he can just grab a space shuttle. And then all of like the enemies run onto like a space shuttle, and then I jump onto the space shuttle, and then we're in space, and I'm like trying to break into the space shuttle and finish off the boss fight on the inside of this space shuttle in space. And it's
Wait,
insane.
were you in space, bro?
I like how he keeps adding in space.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, are we talking about deep space or like low orbit or
in the hands of a giant bear?
So you weren't
So
in
deep
space.
space.
You were in a bear's hand.
Bear space.
But that bear's so large that when
Brad,
he held me up, I was in
Earth-sized
space.
space.
That's
I believe.
barely considered space.
Low Earth sign orbit.
God damn it!
This game is absolutely like overwhelming of the senses insanity, but once you finally wrap your mind around it, and just wrapping your mind around it is no justification for like what I think is a really bad UI. Like the menus and stuff are awful, and I tried doing it with the controller and the mouse. It's not great.
I mean, I've been watching this footage for about 10 minutes, and I didn't realize there was.
Oh wait, is this a game?
Well, if I ever get out of this battle,
Who are you?
which I don't think I'm going to. Do you have any questions about this? I do highly recommend this. I
wouldn't know what to ask.
Well, once I really got into the meta of positioning your guys in battle, I start to really get into it.
How does character level up and weapons and stuff like that work? Is it like how does, because I really don't know a whole lot about this game. I've seen it like once or twice before, but how does it compare to something like XCOM, where outside of battle you're learning skills and getting new weapons and leveling up players? And
that aspect is really straightforward. I mean, you're getting experience and stuff from
I've seen people level
attacking
up a few
things
times
in battle and stuff, but and there's loot like armor and various weapon types and whatnot, and that really does kind of change up your character in a sense that you can kind of create a very specific role by equipping a person a certain way in battle. So it's not like classes per se, but based on the way you gear them up, like it's almost essentially a class. But there's also just all these different crazy unit types, and I think one of the aspects that to make this game really addictive and what makes you want to explore is that you're finding all these different enemy types all over the world that you can recruit, because you can if you get the enemy down to the last enemy, you'll have a unit type that can throw out a net and like capture them, and they'll join your team. And those enemy types have been like very like different, like very crazy. Like I recruited a cupcake.
Oh, that with the little spoon catapult on it?
And all it does is throw out like frosting at your teammates to heal them, and that's like all it does. Actually, I was just doing it.
Is it like in little spurts, or
Nolan's having dirty thoughts?
It's
over
a cupcake that has a spoon like attached to its head,
but that's just equipment.
And it just goes meh, and like it fucking bang, like shoots. It like flings frosting.
And like all the different equipment for like the cupcake has been like different color types of frostings. I got a candy corn. I got like a piece of waffle cone as like different helmets and stuff.
Interesting.
Like that visual aspect to all the different weapons and equipment is not only reflected obviously visually on the character, but all that stuff seems really funny and clever. Much like the various heads you could get in like Battle Block Theater. This is sort of like taking it to the nth degree, and it's just. Okay, look at this screen for a second.
It's
like
very busy.
I don't know what's going on here, and the music that's playing here is so good. So I just kind of want to sit there and listen.
And
to
this
music.
is like the jail or whatever where you keep this is where you manage your
you manage your party, but again, it's just like
because there was
so hard to figure out.
There was an aspect of like
this does not look intuitive at all.
It's presented to you as like a jail, and it's like, hey, when you capture new friends, you can incarcerate them here. But you had to have like open jail cells.
Wait, is there like due process or like?
No, not at all. And I think they joke about that.
Oh, really?
But, yeah, I mean it's all pretty self-aware.
Yeah. I mean you're enslaving. You're not recruiting people.
You're
throwing out a net, putting them in a crate, and bringing them back to the jail. It's
and forcing them to fight.
But like look outside the screen. Everything is like pulsing and like shaking and dancing, and it's just
my eyes are like darting on like 10 different directions on any given screen.
It is both a positive and a negative. It just takes time. Once I've gotten used to it, I really enjoy this game, and I will be playing more. So much so that I'll probably be streaming some of this tomorrow. So look forward to that.
Cool. So I know you have another game, Brad. Before we do that, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about my game. I want to give a quick update on my my Resident Evil retrospective series run, whatever you want to call it, that I'm currently doing. I had mentioned last week I'd finished Resident Evil 0, so I'm moving on to Resident Evil 1 Remake. And at this point, I'm like 6.
Have you become the master of lockpicking?
So first of all, has anyone? Well, I know Brad's played. Did either of y'all play the remake of Resident Evil 1?
No,
not enough to comment.
Of course. So
it is the second best Resident Evil game.
Wait, hold on. I played some on PC because I played it
Chris
for
Davis
some
played
events not too long ago. And Chris Davis is in chat, like helping me out.
Wait, which one? By the way, just a heads up. This footage I recorded was like this afternoon. I was like
You're bad at games.
It's so bad.
You're bad at games.
I fuck up like everywhere. Anyway,
this game is so much better
dude,
than Zero.
This game is so. First of all, I've always thought of Resident Evil Remake as kind of like it's easily like top 10 material for me. But it's been a while since I played it.
This is the quintessential classic Resident Evil game. By far.
Like I know you obviously love 4. I kind of feel about this game the way you kind of feel about 4. Like this is kind of like this game personifies like exemplifies everything that I personally love about like Resident Evil, because it has the classic formula, and it takes first of all, also it's one of the best remakes that I've ever seen of anything. Because
imagine if they did this with 2.
And it's very much looking like they're doing that, because first of all, like I played Resident Evil 1 when we did 1996 month a few years ago, like the original. So it's kind of fresh on my mind. Like I remember enough about it, and you can learn this game teaches you the layout of the map so well, like to the point where not only do you kind of know the map like the back of your hand, but you start to remember specifically what was in each room, even without like the map is fairly plain. It doesn't really tell you much information except for which doors are locked, which ones are unlocked, which ones you've been in. But you start to get this feel for like where you encountered certain enemies, where you saw certain things, and they also obviously introduced this idea in this game of Crimson Heads, right? Where if you kill a zombie, if you don't burn the body, it comes back after a certain amount of time. It comes back to life, and it's super fast and vicious and whatnot.
If those aren't in Resident Evil 2 Remake, they have dropped the ball.
I would agree. I will agree with you on that. But you get so good at learning the map that like eventually it becomes less like. Not only am I navigating the mansion because I know where I'm going without looking at the map. Yeah, see, this is so terrible. But
I like how they're just clipping through. I guess they're floating above.
Wait, what? No, there's sharks. They're in the water.
The water level's higher.
The water level is higher.
Swim over.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I'm getting to the point where like I'm actually avoiding Crimson Heads because I know all the shortcuts and how I can like cut through certain rooms and hallways and circumvent them. So I actually haven't encountered the only Crimson Heads I've encountered so far in my entire 6 hours of playing have been the ones that you have to encounter. Like
because you haven't been killing regular zombies.
No, I have been, but I remember where I kill zombies and don't burn the bodies, so I'm able to get around the mansion and completely avoid those places. Like I usually burn the body if I know I'm gonna have to backtrack through an area a lot. But if it's a room where I'm like I know I got everything in this room, I'm never coming back here. Yeah. I'm not gonna burn it. But if you get too close to a room that has a Crimson Head in it, they can fucking burst through doors. I'll never forget that. It's one of the scariest fucking things that ever happened to me because I always felt safe. Yeah. And the first time I played this, then I was walking down a hallway and you see the door start to jiggle, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And
Dino Crisis had raptors going through doors long before this game came out.
Well, that's true.
But we know raptors can use doors.
We do. We've all seen Jurassic Park.
We didn't know zombies could.
You know, I wonder if that idea in Dino Crisis was just people sitting around the room joking about raptors in Jurassic Park. That's how Dino Crisis got formed.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's how all dino media of the 90s was formed.
Like, let's make a game where raptors can open doors. And that's they built everything around that concept.
Jurassic Park was cool, right?
But anyways, they've added
in that Dinosaur Park Roller Coaster Tycoon game. Was that called?
Jurassic World Evolution?
Dinosaur Park.
What are you talking about?
The game where it's like a little Roller Coaster Tycoon, but with dinosaurs.
Operation Genesis.
Operation Genesis?
The one that just came out.
No, the one that just fucking came
out. Jurassic World Evolution.
Yeah. Oh, that was what it's called?
Which I'll be talking about next week, by the way.
In Jurassic World Evolution, can you have, like, guest services people that are like raptors that just open the door for people?
No. Can confirm.
Wouldn't that be... They walk up and the raptor's like... And it just opens the door? Yeah.
That'd be a nice touch.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm with you, Nolan. Thank you. I'm with you, Nolan.
You're killing me, Nolan. You're fucking killing me.
I do think that somebody in a raptor suit would be a good greeter.
Yeah.
We're still talking about this.
Yeah. And then
we're still going.
You could be like, oh my god, they can open doors.
Have you seen those raptor suits like they had for those dinosaurs coming alive shows?
Yes.
They're really realistic. You could use one of those.
Yeah, that'd be good.
What are you talking about there?
I hate you.
By the way,
watching this footage, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I've been trying to solve this puzzle. and it's counting up to critical, and like this shark is trying to bust through this glass window, and I literally, spoiler, I solved this puzzle when I hits 100%, like, because I'm just running back and forth. I'm not reading the messages.
You got a real flair for the dramatic.
I start to panic.
Why are you bad at Resident Evil, Nick?
I'm bad at. I'm just really bad when I was recording this footage, guys. Anyways, I'm really, really, really fucking enjoying this game again. And to comment on your, cause I'm doing this whole thing because I'm excited for Resident Evil 2 Remake. But Resident Evil 1 Remake, like, coming off of playing the original a few years ago, like they've shifted stuff around, they've added things, they've moved like hallways in this game that connected, like they connected different. Everything is interconnected. Totally different ways. There's some things that are the same, some things that are dramatically different. So like, even if you've played the original like 20 times, like you could play this one and you'd still be kind of forced to kind of relearn the map because everything is different. And they've added some stuff that was cut from the original game too, like Lisa, that really creepy like Frankenstein fucking monster that was cut from the original game, made it into this remake, and it's fucking fantastic. It's creepy as hell. So like, and the little that I played of Resident Evil 2 Remake at E3. Like, I know I've played Resident Evil 2 a lot, and I know at the especially that first entry when you come into the police station, like I remember how everything connects, right? And they changed it completely. So like, but it's still recognizable, very much like the way I felt about this game, where I went like 2 or 3 rooms deep into the mansion, and then started to realize, oh shit, this is different. I had the exact same feeling when I was playing the demo for Resident Evil 2. So I have faith that they're taking kind of the same approach to the remake of 2 as they did to this, but also layering on top of it kind of the control scheme, like the more action-oriented control scheme of Resident Evil 4, where it's over-the-shoulder kind of stuff. So like, I'm pretty fucking excited. And this, I'm probably gonna stream this again on Monday, maybe Sunday. I don't know if Krispy's wanting to stream on Sunday or not, but I might stream on Sunday. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'll probably finish this game fairly quickly because you're not having to constantly backtrack to pick up items.
It's not an extremely long game, especially if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely not. It's I'm probably already like 60 to 70% of the way through it. So, and after this,
you know what game was long and meaty?
What?
Resident Evil 4.
It was.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't necessarily like.
You excited to play that one, Nick?
I am. Honestly, I was talking to chat the other night, and like I'm gonna play a bunch of Resident Evil games, and the ones I think I'm looking forward to playing the most is 4 on.
You excited for
mostly because
Baby Napoleon?
Because those are the ones I had the least amount of experience with. I've played 4 like 3 or 4 times, but everything after that I've never touched more than once. So, kind of looking forward to playing the back half just because I'm less familiar with them.
Matalo.
And 4, 4 is an amazing game, but I still haven't played it in like 5 or 6 years.
3 and Code Veronica.
Yep,
right?
3. Okay. I'm gonna do 3 Code Veronica, 6 or 4, 5, 6 Revelations 2. And if there's time, I'll replay 7. We'll see how it goes.
What are you buying?
What are you selling?
See, that makes me want to. God damn you guys!
It's a good game.
I can't wait to play that game again.
Buy it at a high price.
Oh my god, we need Jesus.
Nick, you're the host.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I am the host. Brad.
Yeah.
We're not going to hear from you next. Krispy.
What?
Keeping everyone on their toes.
What? Who's next?
So I'm keeping
What's
everybody
up?
on their toes. You have some James?
Oh, I have something that might be considered video games.
Oh my.
All right.
Please tell us more.
So, last Friday, Carlos came over and we did another Carlos Curates Krispy. And we played 4 games. The first one we played was called...
Oh, he finally told you what they were?
A Thing. It was...
The Thing?
It was The Thing. It was really cool. It was called Today I Die. And it was it's like a little 10-minute flash game, and I can't remember... He was telling me about it, and some indie person of note made it, and it was like their first thing, and it was just like a little indie game jam thing, and it was basically all about kind of like moving elements around the screen to change words in like this little poem that was going on. It's really difficult to describe. I mean, in the time it would take me to try to tell you what the game is like, you could just play the whole thing.
It's like 10 minutes?
It's called Today I Die. Yeah, and it's a flash game.
Is it creepy?
It's not creepy.
Okay, it's a creepy name. Okay.
No, it's not creepy. It's much more artsy, maybe. The We also played the first chapter of a point-and-click horror game called The Last Door, which...
Wait, we've played that, haven't we?
I think so. It sounds familiar.
The Last Door sounds familiar.
You're like going down hallways and you're opening doors and shit, and like...
yeah.
That's every horror game.
I know, I'm sorry, that is every horror game.
That sounds like Resident
Evil. It's kind of like a
Evil.
it's a pixelated art style, and it's like... It takes place in England, like late Victorian, like early 20th century England. And it, like the opening scene of the game is like a guy hanging himself in the attic, and you play the guy's friend who's come to the house at his request, and you're like going around trying to like figure out puzzles to open
Carlos
doors.
made me play this as well.
Yeah, he was really into it.
Boring.
I kind of liked it though. I was enjoying
he
it.
Secretly loves point-and-click adventure games.
No,
These
I know
fucking indie horror, like if it's got Cthulhu in it, he's like
but
all
like
about
I think the
point-and-click
writing
adventure.
in this game was actually really on point, and it was a bit more restrained and kind of slower paced than what you would typically get from like a horror game.
Yeah,
and I kind of liked it. It had like a very like Baroque Gothic horror kind of vibe to it, and it was really neat. We only played the first chapter though, so I haven't gone any farther on that.
What was the name of the game that Carlos had us play? The whole it was like a horror indie game, and ended up putting like a file on your desktop.
I don't think Carlos made us play that. I think
I'm Scared.
I'm Scared.
I'm Scared. That's what it was.
That's brilliant.
That was a mean game.
Yeah.
The other so there's two other games. One of them was Darkness 2, which
What? He made you play the Darkness?
Wow.
He loves that fucking
he
game.
really loves the Darkness 2.
Yes.
And
I'm surprised he didn't make you play Fear 3. He's like all about it.
I'm gonna be
now.
honest, I was having a hard time with it. I really think like the shooting and the darkness mechanics of the game are so cool, and I think it's a shame that they're in that game.
Damn.
Why specifically?
Because the game itself is like stupid short. It's only like
It's like 4 hours.
It's like 4 hours or
Yeah.
something. Like
Jesus Christ.
And it moves. It moves too fast.
I played a little bit of
The
that
first
game.
game is not much longer, but it is longer and it's
Yeah.
more open. And the atmosphere, I think, in the first one is better.
and it's a really linear story based shooter.
This is the same
which is
Darkness
cool,
with like
but-
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie
Yeah.
Estacado.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
It's a really
It's a
really
dude. All
cool
the monsters.
set of mechanics and like abilities.
Yeah.
But like the game is so narrow and so
Point A
linear
to
and
B.
so just like run through here, shoot all the guys, run through here, shoot all the guys, run through here, shoot all the guys.
And that's the one that adopted that. They went like the cell shaded route. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the first
it's
game,
a little more cel shaded and it has like lines are real sketchy. It kind of like to give it more of a comic book style.
It is a cool look, but like honestly, like the
It's a
atmosphere of
cool
the
look.
first one is still much better.
Why does
I think.
Carlos like that game so much?
He really likes it because the mechanics, I think, is his big draw to it. I think he really likes because that's what he kept like bringing up. To me
shooting
while we were
dudes and then
playing.
hitting him with like a
Right,
tentacle,
shooting
like,
dudes
throwing him
with the
and stuff?
tentacle. Like not only that, but how it also like ties into healing and how you can like pick up things and throw them, and then you've got that little goblin that pisses on things, and you can pick him up and throw things. So that shit was cool. Like the actual mechanics, the idea behind like the character's suite of powers are really cool. Would have been really nice to see it in a setting that let it kind of like breathe and develop a bit more.
Maybe something a little more open.
And the story characters setting of that game are just like
It's the mob.
unbearable. Are unbearable.
I'm not talking
It's
to Carlos right now. He played through the entire Fear series recently, and I think he's sincere in saying that 3 is his favorite.
Dude,
I
it's
think
Carlos.
he's sincere. I don't know. I know, and he's always fucking with people, right? But I think,
Dude,
he,
I don't
I'm
think
saying
he,
I think
don't
he's
think
being
at
sincere.
this point. I don't think he knows if he's fucking with people.
Yeah, that's a good
Like
point.
he's gotten to the point where he doesn't even fucking know if
That's a
he's
good point.
like using a meme or if he is a meme. Like I think he's just gotten to the point where he just doesn't fucking
He's
know.
the ultimate deconstructed man.
Well,
like,
I want to see his
it's-
full review for Fear 3.
It's
That game sucks.
so Darkness
played
2
I know,
is
Nick.
is
dope.
cool. I mean,
played it
if
too.
you're
It's
you're
dope.
really into story based shooters and you really just like want something that does something a little different,
Half-Life.
Half-Life definitely.
Different. We said different, guys.
It's maybe worth it just because it's not very long, you know.
Yeah.
I think the story is fucking garbage. I think the characters are fucking garbage. Like it's based on a comic series from I think Image from the 90s called The Darkness, and 90s image just kind of represents everything that I hate about comics because
you,
it's all that kind of shit.
Do you have any experience with the first Darkness?
No, not really.
I mean, I can't speak for the characters,
but I know like the first
characters.
one was real like under the radar, and then this one got like a big
The thing is like
THQ
the pacing is much slower.
Yeah,
like it's more open, not by much, but more open. Like, and the lighting it's like
the
super dark, and the lighting is really striking. I liked it a lot.
The first one had the date scene too, where you can watch the entirety of
and then you have to watch.
The first one kind of sucks too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But in its own
different reasons.
It's like there are one or two things to pull out of there of like value, but like as an overall experience, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the game that I did really want to talk about, the one that I actually really enjoyed, was a game jam game that we played called Roulette Night, and it's a Russian roulette based RPG.
What?
So you play a roulette night, and basically all it is, you have a map that's a grid, right? It is a roguelike.
It would have to be, right?
You have a map. You have a map that's a grid, and you're moving to different areas of the. What is so fucking funny?
I have no idea.
It's a roguelike about Russian roulette.
Oh my god!
Jesus, Chris Davis.
I mean, wow. Oh my god! Chris Davis is losing his mind.
It's like we struck a nerve. Chris like he thinks about Russian roulette.
He's inspired.
I know he likes Russian shit, but
it's a roguelike, but it's about Russian roulette. Oh my god! The genius of it! Permanent. I mean, it definitely does work because you die pretty quickly and have to restart. But what's cool about but hang on, let me explain why the game's cool. All right. So
we got it.
No. Okay.
I'm curious about this game.
Yeah, me too.
How the fuck does this even work?
Oh my god, are you okay, Chris? Can I continue?
Go ahead.
Okay. So you have a world map and it's split up into grid sections, and every time you go to a section, you have to complete 3 safe trigger pulls in order to move on to another section. And you're trying to get from the bottom left corner of the map to the top right. Yeah, you have to do 3 safe trigger pulls. Do you spin
each time?
You don't have to. That's part of the mechanics. So you have an interface that actually shows your chamber, and you can open it up, you put your bullet in, and you can close it and spin it, and then like start pulling the trigger. But the different sections, like the farther on you go, they will require more and more bullets in the chamber. So like in the beginning, you only have to put one in, and you can spin it. You can put it anywhere you want. You spin it, and then you pull the trigger, and you can either respin the chamber every time you do it, or you can just like spin once and just pull 3.
Odds are probably better for you to spin it each time.
I mean, yeah, it depends.
Because if you spin each time, you at least have the chance that you might land on that same one again.
We start getting into weird
trying
things.
to escape from a Vietnamese prison camp. Deer Hunter? No.
Yeah, Deer Hunter. Sure, okay. Fun, but I mean,
cool.
Okay.
But the so like kind of the RPG elements of it, like the room for, I don't know, plan or strategy comes in from like items. You can like buy items, you can level up, so your character has MP and HP. You can level up how much HP you have. You can level up how much you heal every time you get a safe click. What
happens when you don't get a safe click? Is the game
you shoot yourself in the head?
I know, but is it just over?
No, you get,
or you take damage.
So you take damage,
okay.
But usually it's spaced in such a way where you'll get like one free one, and then the next shot's going to be a fatal shot. And you can buy items. So like you can buy like helmets and stuff to put on that like increase or decrease the amount of damage you take or increase the amount of health you have. You can buy like magic items that'll just be like, if you use this spell and you get and your next trigger pull is a fatal shot, it'll just negate that and give you a safe one. You know, there's all sorts of things like that in there. And then later on you get to buy like new guns. So you can buy like a revolver that has 9 chambers in it, you know? So all of a sudden putting 2 bullets in there isn't as big a deal because you've got 7 free spaces, you know?
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. It's really tough. We didn't ever get
when
to the
you
end.
put the bullets in, do you get to pick where in the chamber they go?
Oh yeah, you open it up and you can space them. Like if you have to do 2 or 3, you can do them right next to each other, or you can like space them out, or you can put them like on either side of each other from the center. You can do whatever you want and spin it. So
interesting
little exercise in probability. I don't know. We didn't get to the end.
Christopher Walken.
Okay. Probably. Is that Deer Hunter?
Yeah.
Yes, Deer Hunter.
I guess I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
But yeah, it's really cool. That one is called Roulette Night. It is also free.
I was about to ask you, what's the game actually called? I completely
it's
forgot.
It's a browser-based Flash game. You can go play it right now if you want. I thought it was pretty fun. We were having a hell of a time playing it on stream, just getting all hyped up about pulling the trigger.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
And then sometimes we just and pull the trigger 3 times really quick.
I feel like I'd have anxiety playing that with Carlos sitting next to me.
It's like that game of what's the Crocodile Dentist game?
What? I think that's what it was called.
Crocodile Dentist?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we had the Crocodile.
Who the fuck is Crocodile Dentist?
Oh!
He pushes his teeth down, but then he bites.
You play it, but then you strap blades to the top teeth.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's how we all played that when we were younger.
Because then there's the actual risk of it slamming down on you.
Yeah, no. Not
Crocodile Dandy? Was that really the name?
Oh my god. Thank you, Krispy, for another lovely edition of Carlos Curates Krispy.
Those are cool.
That's a good...
Check out
That's a good feature.
Yeah.
I feel like we should all have a Curates Krispy.
Okay. Or I was going to say, why don't we have somebody curate each one of us?
You guys come over and stream games with me.
I just don't want to play Carlos's James. I've been playing that crap for years. I want somebody else to curate my night.
Make you play Fear 3. Anyways, Brad...
Yes.
You got another game. What's your game?
Yeah, let's get to it because I gotta leave soon. I've been playing this for months now. Really, just very kind of chipping away at it on my lunch break. That is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. It came out earlier this year. This is the re-release, enhanced port aspects of it got remade. Who knows what you call this one? It's a JRPG for the 3DS, not the Switch. The 3DS. The original came out on the DS, sort of a late DS title. Mm-hmm. Do you want to find out the release date versus that?
I looked it up and it said 2010, and Pit People they started production on Pit People in 2013.
Game 4 was 2013.
Okay, so as Battle Block Theater approached its April 2013 release, the company began work on Pit People under the codename Game 4.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah. So I've been playing this thing, and I wanted to talk about this earlier, but since I've been kind of inching my way through it, I wanted to get to a certain point, I guess, where it made sense. But it's a really cool RPG. This was sort of a kind of a hidden gem of the original DS. Mm-hmm. I mean, not a lot of people played it. I mean, it reviewed well, and the people who've played it really liked this game. So, and it became real rare pretty quick. So I was actually really surprised and glad when they announced that this thing was coming to the 3DS, like an enhanced version. One of the enhancements is that they redid all the art, like the character art, the portrait art and stuff in this game. And I really don't like the new art.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm surprised you didn't put the enhancement in quotations.
It's enhanced in a lot of positive ways beyond just that portrait art. Mm-hmm. But one of the things is, I didn't realize they were selling it at first, but it's like $2. You can get DLC that puts in all the old art from the original DS game. So I did that. But when I captured this footage, I had to do it on Nolan's capture 3DS.
Sorry, my capture 3DS isn't that good.
And when the DLC saves to the system and not the cart, so I captured this footage with all the new portrait art, which I kind of hate, and I'm seeing some of this stuff for pretty much the first time on some of these characters, and it's kind of frustrating.
Are you talking about the portrait art at the bottom of the screen when it pops up there?
That and like when they're talking to each other and whatnot. Yeah. This is a really, really cool game. It is a sort of it's very story driven JRPG, but it's all about kind of time travel. But not kind of like a science fiction time travel, but like a magic book time travel, and it plays into the mechanics of how you progress through the story, because early on in the story, after you're given this magic book that lets you kind of travel through time, it's not like you're going back to like the dinosaurs and then way into the future. It's more about going back between these two different timelines, because at one point in the story you make like a major decision to your like country is kind of warring with a nearing country, as it's just sort of the backdrop of the game, right?
Yeah.
And when you start the game, you're like a member of the special forces. The special forces.
Oh my god, get it out, Brad.
Sorry.
Get it out.
The main character's part of the special forces, and I really like the main character because he's like this very like competent, like grown up, you know, which as opposed to what you typically see in a lot of JRPGs, where you're like a scrappy like lad who's kind of a dumbass, you know, or just.
But they have a lot of heart.
They have a lot of heart. No, this is not that character. He's cool, calculated, but he's also like very good at his job, and so are like the other members of your crew. But the point at which the story deviates is when you make this decision of like, oh, I'm going to keep, you know, doing my job in these special forces, or I'm going to listen to what my friend said who joined the army, and I'm going to join the army with him. So after you kind of make that decision, the story branches in two different paths. And you actually have, there's a mechanical aspect to jumping around in the story where you open up this book and there's all these nodes all over it. And all these different nodes are all the different decisions you make in this game. And you can travel back between them, between the decisions you make, but also between these two major storylines where the story dramatically diverged. And it plays into both progressing the main story but also side quests and stuff. So like it starts from like simple side quests where you see like a dude dead in a cave and you realize, well, maybe if I kind of go back in time to an earlier point, after I've gotten this ability to kind of break the rocks in this cave, I can now get to him before he dies, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like...
So you're kind of replaying events over and over again?
Yeah. But they kind of streamline it in a way to where it's not... You're not like rewatching story sequences. You just hit the skip button and it skips through all that, and you can like basically get to the point where you maybe made, you know, that decision before, because the main storyline, you get to points throughout these two timelines where you kind of get stuck, right? Where it's like there's a lot of like instant game overs, and it's almost like a choose your own adventure, right? And it's like, well, okay, let's go back, let's make the other decision, and then the story progresses. But then you'll get to a point where it's like there is no win in this situation. I need to like figure something out, but that often requires going back in time in the other timeline. So because you might meet a character that teaches you an ability to progress in this other timeline.
How do you keep these timelines in sync, like, or in like?
And like, how do you keep them?
Well, keep track of these timelines.
You have this book.
It's in the book. Whatever chapter or page
does a really good job of keeping track of all the different points, major points in the story, and the points where you make these decisions across these two timelines. And you could just click on any one you want, and you instantly go to that point in time. It's a surprisingly, I guess, elegant way to let you progress through a story that involves time travel and a lot of decision making, but it is very story driven, and it's not like you have like all the freedom in the world to kind of do what you want to do. I mean, you definitely get to these choke points where it's like, okay, obviously I've gone too far in this storyline, I need to go to the alternate storyline and progress that.
A more technical question, Brad. We've been talking about this game how long now? What, like 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
You've been in 2 battles. Are all the battles this long?
Well, I'm at a point in the story. I'm probably under leveled. I probably should have spent more time in the other timeline leveling up a little bit. I think I maybe pushed it a little too far in this timeline.
Okay.
These are really hard battles for me. That's why they're kind of taking time. Also, I was recording this while I was talking to you guys, so yeah. But so let me talk about the battle system, because although this is a very story-driven game, it does have a really cool battle system where it's kind of tactical, like grid. You see where the enemies are on different squares and stuff, and all your attacks are all about kind of positioning, moving the enemies around the battlefield, generally speaking, into like kind of the same tactical square, and then creating combos where I'm gonna knock this enemy into this square, and my other teammate's going to knock a third enemy into that same square, while my final teammate was going to do like a magical nuke spell, right? That's sort of like the basics for how you would create combos in battle. But then you have all these other elements where you can really manipulate the turn order by swapping your position with, like, you know what, I'm gonna let the enemy go first, and you literally swap positions in the turn order to where you let the enemy go first, just so all your guys can go one after the other, so you can create these combos. But there's a risk, because anytime you do that, you see how my character's red. You're creating a vulnerability, and anytime you get hit while you're red, you have a much increased chance of taking a critical damage. So it's like like manipulating the turn order in such a way to create these combos like puts you at risk, because you might be kind of weakening yourself along the way, and you might, and there's various difficulties, and I'm playing on hard, and it's been really difficult.
There's another reason
some of these
why
battles
it's taking so long.
Yes, that's another reason.
Playing on hard.
So yeah, like the combat is pretty satisfying.
I feel like it's uncommon for JRPGs to have difficulty
I don't know if that's actually part of this re-release or not. Also, the re-release adds kind of a third timeline with a new character, but I haven't really gotten into that yet, because you don't have to kind of get into that stuff right away. The other cool thing about this is I know this isn't new for this version of the game, is they introduce a kind of a story mode. And you notice when I'm running around the battlefield, I can like swing my sword, right? Now on this mode, you can just like stun an enemy, try to get behind them to do like a preemptive attack, right? Because that would give you a bunch of, attacks in a row, and you can create giant combos, right? So it's very advantageous. But if you play this easy story mode, hitting an enemy with your sword wins you that fight. You don't even have to fight that fight, but you still get experience as if you did.
Wait,
so basically it eliminates the need to fight any battles at all, and it basically turns the game into a kind of a game. No, it turns it into kind of like a visual novel. Because you still have all this story. You're still doing all this like jumping around through these different timelines and stuff, and trying to figure out how to progress the story. You can basically just play it to enjoy the story. You still have to do the boss fights and stuff, but hitting enemies with your sword is still getting you experience, so you're still leveling up. So you're still equipped to fight the boss fights, but you're just essentially boiling it down to only mandatory story related fights, which is a cool idea. Like a really cool idea, because you've seen stuff in games before, like Bravely Default, where you can turn off the encounter rate, but that comes at a cost, obviously. Yeah. You're not leveling up. Here, it's like, no, play this game how you want. If you want to play it as a visual novel, like by all means, because the story's really good here. Like it's the writing's good. This version added voice acting, and I think that voice acting is also very good. So if you're just kind of in the mood for a really good, like, JRPG with kind of competent writing and characterizations, and it's just kind of well put together. I highly recommend this re-release of Radiant Historia.
What's the full title? Radiant Historia what?
Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. That's the new subtitle added for the re-release.
Man, I don't know what it is, but they're terrible. Like coming
not
up
a good name.
Good
well,
subtitles.
Yeah. I mean, Radiant Historia was not, I guess, that bad, but
no, as a standalone, Radiant Historia, not bad. But adding on,
this is Atlas developed, by the way.
Oh, well, I like Atlas. That's cool. All right, well, thanks, Brad. I think we need to take a break because it is break time. So
I have a game though.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Just that one game, because that's kind of silly to talk about that in the second half. Gonna talk about it for like 45
I'm the
seconds.
host, damn it. We're taking a short break.
All right.
We're already committed. I will not be questioned.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. We'll be back after this short break, and we'll talk about Nolan's game. We'll talk about there's a bunch of news, and we'll answer some questions from our Patreon supporters. So don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Before we start into the last bit of impressions, I want to mention real quick, we recorded an episode of 4Player Plus this week. That's our bonus podcast that we're doing mostly, it's roughly weekly. Monday nights right before my stream. we do a bonus podcast. We talk about a variety of different topics, whether it's movies, maybe new video game news, indie spotlights, whatever it happens to be. This week, Nolan and Chris Davis joined me for a discussion about Ant-Man and the Wasp. We even posed some questions to Crispy because he couldn't be there for the actual recording, and he answered us, and we read those out on the stream. So we got his take on the movie as well. If you are a supporter on Patreon, patreon.com/4player, and you pledge $1 or more, you get early access to all of our podcasts. As of right before this recording, it is available to our supporters on Patreon. It'll be available to everybody else tomorrow evening. So just want to go ahead and pimp that. It's a really good movie. We enjoyed it thoroughly. We had a lot of good discussion on it. So check that out. Again, you'll find that at patreon.com/4player or tomorrow at 4playernetwork.com or on all of our podcast feeds. Anyways, enough about that. We have one more game we want to talk about, kind of two, because we're both kind of playing
one more genre.
Games. One more genre.
Series.
Nolan, give us an update on, you've been playing more Fallout, right?
Tale of Two Wastelands is still going on because it is 2 games of Fallout. So it's long as fuck. And even though I've stopped, like I've gotten to a point where I just don't open things anymore.
That's a good idea.
Because it's just not reasonable.
That's such a refreshing, like... Once you can get to that point, it's like freeing.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of opening this box to find another Wonder Glue?
Yeah.
I have a 5,000.
I don't even pick that shit up.
Well, so the thing is, Nick, it depends on what you're at and where you're doing, because sometimes, especially if you're doing crafting or stuff like that, it can be useful. A lot of the DLCs of Fallout require like stuff like that. Like I just played Old World Blues, which was one for New Vegas that I never played when it originally came out, and it was like the super advanced like technological stuff.
That one's supposed to be really good.
It was actually really good. But one of the things you can do is you can actually find recipes for the skill books.
Yeah,
and so those are the books that will raise your skills, like your lockpicking by like 4 or something like that, which is a pretty good book for free. All you got to do is find a blank book, a book in the world, and then there's like a machine that you go up to and you put that book in and it spits out a blank book, and then you need some Wonder Glue and the recipe for that, and then you can all of a sudden make that skill book, which was kind of cool. And so of course there I am collecting thousands of like blank books and Wonder Glues and stuff, and then I end up not needing most of them. I have like, I want to say I have like, I don't know, like 30,000 caps or
Jesus
something.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe more than
I'm
that.
still, so by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. I mentioned this last week. I am playing Fallout 4 right now. I'm almost 20 hours deep into Fallout 4, which is pretty good for me. Been really enjoying it on top of some of the other stuff I've been playing. But I'm still I'm 20 hours in. I'm still rolling with like, I'm lucky if I have like 2,000 caps.
I think I'm like 76 hours into Tale of Two Wastelands.
Jesus.
But
Jesus, where are y'all?
I mean, Brad, it's not like I did it over the past 2 days.
I know.
I've been playing this for like 2 months now.
Yeah.
And Brad, look at the past few podcasts. It's the only game I've been.
We're in the
playing.
middle of a dry spell, and I'm enjoying playing some stuff in my backlog.
So anyway, I'm really enjoying this part just because when the original New Vegas came out, when it first came out, I only played the first DLC.
Yeah.
New Vegas first DLC was the bomb collar one.
Yeah. I can't. Dead Money.
Dead Money.
Dead
That's
Money.
What it was, yeah.
I finally replayed that one. Definitely
so
good.
Really? Dead Money?
Definitely not bad. The thing that made it good, Brad, is that it was kind of easy for me because you go in with nothing. But the thing is, they don't take away special items. But I had a special item that was the Rar Claw, which is a Death Claw that you get from the Lonesome Road DLC, and I was able to craft like a super, like all the weapons I had did like 30 damage, 40 damage, and this one did like 160.
Nice.
And I was running a stealth character who had I got like bonus crits for like sneak attacks, 50% chance to do 50% extra critical hits on like sneak attacks with melee. And so the thing is, the enemies in that game, you have to cripple their limbs in order to kill them, otherwise they just get back up.
Yeah.
And so like I just was sneaking around just fucking destroying dudes.
I have 2 questions.
What's up?
One, so like I said, playing Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And I just realized I've played I would consider myself a Fallout fan.
Sure.
I've played Fallout 3, a good chunk of New Vegas. I don't think I've ever played a DLC for any of the Fallout games.
Really?
But every time you name drop one, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. And I remember I wanted to play it. And I always heard good things about it.
There's some pretty good DLCs.
Does Fallout... First of all, first question. How do you know... Like, in the scope of like just playing through Fallout, how do you trigger a DLC?
So most of them are you go to a physical location. When the DLC is added, they will add some sort of door or some sort of like thing that will transport you.
And I'm playing the Game of the Year edition, so it should already have all those locations should already be, I guess, be in there.
Yeah, no, they will be. So for example, Old World Blues, which is one we were just talking about, it triggers by a quest called the Midnight Showing at the Mojave screen, something like that. Whatever.
Is that where the dinosaur
is? At the Midnight Drive-In. And so there's like a crashed satellite at a drive-in theater, and it's like fucked up. And when you go up to it and interact with it, it projects a thing onto a screen, and then you get teleported to the Old World Blues, which is like the thing where you get lobotomized, and your spine is removed, and your heart is removed, and they're replaced by like robotic parts.
Oh, okay. At least they replaced it with something.
Yeah. And you're running around fighting like lobotomites. Like everyone you encounter is like a lobotomite or like a robot scorpion. It's pretty cool. I did that. That's probably one of my favorite ones, Brad.
My second question was,
what's up?
How was Fallout 4's DLC?
I've never played a single Fallout 4 DLC, which is one of the reasons I'm considering playing Fallout 4 after this.
The Far Harbor was supposed to be really good.
I've heard Far Harbor was good.
But like all the other ones I've read had kind of like Nuka World I read was pretty...
See, that's the one I'm really interested in.
And a lot of their DLC was based around the workshop. Like they had like workshop DLCs.
Yeah, where you can like
and there was one
contribute and stuff.
Yeah, there was like the Vault Tech workshop where you could build a vault and then like get people to live in it and then like run experiments on them. I don't know. I was reading a lot of reviews on these recently, and the consensus was like meh to most of it, unless you're like really, really, really aching for more Fallout 4 content, especially building content. Yeah. But like the one that was like you should check it out is Far Harbor.
Okay. Good to know. But I still have a lot of just core content to
Sidereal does bring a good point that Old World Blues, one of the robots you interact with, is voiced by Dr. Venture.
Nice.
And that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think I have one more DLC in New Vegas, and then I kind of want to beat each game, so I might just rush through the stories of them. Yeah. I'm at level 50. I have
that's the level cap, right?
That's a level cap of the Tale of Two Wastelands. The base game's level caps are 30.
Yeah.
I have every single everything is maxed out. Like I'm like destroying dudes.
I will say this: I'm really glad I'm playing this again because I do love.
You're playing 4.
I do love me some Fallout, and I had kind of forgotten how much I really enjoyed Fallout. And there's still so much. I've played 20 hours of it, and there's still so much of the map that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and that's something for me too. Like I'm definitely, even though I played a shit ton of 3 in New Vegas, I'm finding some stuff I never interacted with.
They're big games, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to say before we move on to news,
like I said, I'm trying to wrap it up. Because I know that there's some other games coming out soon that I probably want to play and spend some more time with.
Yep.
But I've definitely been enjoying my time revisiting it, and I would recommend if you're ever looking to play New Vegas or 3 again, like I only played them once or I never played them, and you have it on PC, I would definitely recommend A Tale of Two Wastelands.
Sweet. All right, Brad, are you ready? I know you have to.
Let's do some news.
You have to duck out
through some news topics.
Brad does have to duck out of this episode a little early, so we're going to cover some news topics. I know there's a couple specifically that Brad probably wants to be here.
Let's start with some quick release dates, because these were like 3 release dates that I was not expecting to be so soon.
Yep.
That all got announced recently after making a
choice. I had a typo on the thing. Shit. Sorry.
One of them was Monster Hunter on the PC. Monster Hunter World on the PC is coming out way sooner than I think people were expecting.
Isn't August
8th or something like that, which is
soon.
crazy.
Man,
soon.
did y'all see that the Capcom stock price dipped?
Really?
Because of Monster Hunter?
Why?
No, that's a misinterpretation.
I mean, it's a misinterpretation of they're talking about sales of Monster Hunter like slowing down, but it's all because people are waiting for PC.
You know, Monster Hunter World is literally Capcom's best-selling.
No, I know, I get that. I mean, we're talking about people on like investors and on the business side, like, not understanding the nuance of like the industry and stuff, and like not realizing why sales are dipping.
Yeah,
but are you gonna get? Are you gonna get on PC? I mean, Nolan, this is a very good fucking game.
Fuck you, Brad.
It's really good.
I'm gonna spend 100 hours on it.
Fuck you guys. I'm gonna play it on PS4. I don't care, but I'm gonna play it. That's all that matters, right?
It's really good.
What happened? I thought maybe y'all were gonna get together and.
I've been playing it for like the last week.
I mean, I'm just not ready to start it yet. I'm playing through Fallout and Resident Evil and all this stuff.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm gonna play it. I'm not. There's not a whole lot that I'm gonna be playing new in August.
I mean, Monster Hunter is a this year game.
I know.
Okay.
Trust me, I know.
Chasm.
You know that most of the monsters are basically dinosaurs, right?
Fuck, I'm gonna play it tonight.
Chasm has been in development for
At least 45 years?
Yeah,
something
at least
like
45
that?
years. It's coming out at the end of this month.
Fuck you, it is.
Yeah, July 31st.
Wasn't that the first game ever caught in development hell?
Maybe.
No, Chasm's not been in development hell. It's just been like a very small...
But it has to have been. It's been in development for like 30 years.
Yeah, so Spy Party, by definition, is also in development hell then.
I think Chasm has just been taking its fucking time.
Wait, didn't the developer fall into a chasm and that's why I wasn't working on it?
No, he's literally in hell.
I remember a couple of PAXs ago talking to the guy.
100,000 hours.
I heard he's on top of... I've heard he's on the run from the wall.
Chasm was at the first PAX I ever went to.
Holy fuck.
So
Yes.
I think Chasm is going to be great. But I feel really bad because like a couple of days after Chasm finally announces its release date, Dead Cells is coming out of early access a week later.
Yep.
And it's like, Chasm's going to be dope.
Oh, yeah.
But Dead Cells has a more of a Steam community appeal. Like, it's very flashy.
Yeah.
It's a roguelike, it's kind of
I'm
what
picking that
people
up on
are
Switch.
playing right now.
It's sexy. It's got the
Chasm's not really a
it's got the
roguelike.
punch up. It's got the sex. Sex
So
sells.
okay, here's a question I have, because first of all, I am interested in playing Chasm, and I'm interested in playing Dead Cells. Both of them are kind of described as roguelikes every time I read about
Chasm
them.
is not a
it's
roguelike.
Metroidvania.
So I recommend it to you because it's not the kind where, with permadeath where you replay over and over. Chasm often gets confused for a roguelike because when you start the game, it generates a random, a somewhat random map layout, as if you would in a roguelike. But that's just your seed to play through a game like Symphony of the Night. It was designed that way, so it's like, hey, I want to replay Chasm. Now when I replay it, I can play like a different version of the map. Now, like boss order.
But the map never changes from that point.
Like
when
you save, like in a save point, it's still your same game.
You die, you go back to your save.
It generates a randomly generated world, and then that is your world.
Yeah, but it
think
does
of like Minecraft. When you enter a new world, it randomly generates an entire
So how do
world.
they handle, like, I feel like that...
You can share that seed because it gives you that code. So like somebody in our community was suggesting, like, why don't we all play the same seed of Chasm if we're going to play Chasm?
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That'd be interesting.
But so I'm excited about all those. I feel a little bad for Chasm because I feel like Dead Cells is going to take a little bit of its
I am picking up Dead Cells on Switch.
Maybe they will find love together.
That's getting a physical release too on Switch for those who are interested.
Here's another quick
drive
one.
sales.
Did y'all see Nathan Fillion teasing an Uncharted news announcement for Monday, July 16th?
Yes, so he tweeted, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he tweeted a picture of Drake, the artist, right? Was it a picture of Drake? And then he said, what's the quote on Nathan Drake's, was it on his ring? Somebody, what is the quote?
It doesn't matter. The point is he's teasing Uncharted, something Uncharted, which people are assuming.
All right. That he's going to be the star of the Uncharted movie. That's been in development.
But I heard that like Tom
Holland was going to be a young Nathan Drake. Now here's the thing.
Ooh, maybe it's like a flashback.
Maybe they're the same movie, and they're going to have.
But I'm guessing it would be primarily Tom Holland, but
probably
with
the
some
framing
scenes
device of like an old Nathan Drake.
But for the longest time, everyone's been like, Nathan Fillion is the perfect Nathan Drake because Nolan North is basically just voice acted Nathan Fillion, right? Yeah. So.
It would be perfect.
But I thought for the longest time, Marky Mark was supposed to be.
That was a canceled project.
I mean, it's weird. Like, I've wanted this to be true for so long. Here's the thing: it's a video game movie. It's probably not going to be great no matter what.
No,
but like,
absolutely.
if they're going to make one, I feel like nobody like Nathan Fillion's kind of like made to play that character. I feel like, but also he hasn't really done roles like that for a long time. He's gonna have to get like ripped for that.
Gotta be ripped. He just
you don't think so?
What are you talking about? He could be an older Nathan
especially
Drake.
if it's like an older Nathan
Post
Drake.
Uncharted 4 Nathan Drake probably let himself go.
This guy played Captain Hammer.
That's true. He played Captain Hammer.
Captain Hammer.
Also,
who's Captain Hammer?
Oh my God, Nick.
Who is Captain Hammer?
Dr. Horrible sing along blog, Nick.
It's alright. It's alright.
Look it up. What is that?
Oh my God.
Oh,
The hammer's my penis.
I'm sorry. I'm uncultured.
You are Philistine. What was I gonna say? Uncharted.
I guess I'm letting you lead the news topics here, huh?
Man, I don't know if I want to say something else about Nathan Fillion.
He's sexy. He's a cool dude.
The hammer is his penis.
Or about Uncharted. Oh, I finally watched that Tomb Raider movie. Did I talk
new
about
one?
that on
Wait,
the
this is
podcast?
not related to Uncharted at all.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean,
Alicia Vikander
it
one?
very much is. Yeah, that movie is so boring.
It is
and-
so much better than the Angelina
Dude,
Jolie
shut the
ones,
fuck
though.
up. Do you know why that's not true?
Tell me why I'm wrong,
It's
Brad.
because a bad movie that is so bad is more watchable than like a completely fucking boring and uninspired movie. And that's what that new Tomb Raider is.
I
would
enjoyed it.
never watch that movie again. I popped in Cradle of Life. She punches out a shark. Nothing like that happens in the new Tomb Raider movie.
This is where we just are gonna have to agree to
So
disagree.
it's
Brad.
funny,
I enjoyed it for what it was, and you know what? It had Walton Goggins in it, so like
a very like doing nothing interesting.
A couple of my coworkers have been asking for movie recommendations lately because they have poor taste in movies, and I've been giving them some good recommendations. And so I gave them this huge list of fucking movies, and I was like, "So, Sarah, what'd you watch this weekend?" She's like, "Oh, we watched the new Tomb Raider," and I was like, "That was not on my list. What did you think?" And she was like, "We hated it."
Oh God!
And I was like, "Why did you not just pick one from my list?"
It's really not good.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you
that.
that's an amazing film or anything, or even a good film
No,
necessarily. But like,
absolutely not.
I would still watch it any day of the week over Angelina Jolie's.
I challenge you to
fires.
even watch it again.
Sure,
It's so boring.
I'll probably buy it.
Oh, shut up!
I'll buy it and then I'll fucking. Send
There is a
picture.
cheesiness to those originals
Hey, you
that
also
make
gotta-
it more watchable.
You also got to remember,
Also,
dude, like I know
Angelina
you
Jolie-
hate these fucking games, but like Robin loves the new Tomb Raider, like fucking loves
okay,
that
I'm not
series.
talking about those games, and
So,
I
like,
don't hate those games either.
I watched it with
What the
her.
fuck
and
are
we
you
both
talking
enjoyed
about?
it, like for what it was.
Listen, I don't
That's
hate
all I'm
those new
saying.
games. Those games,
Oh, you do.
are-
Fuck you. You do.
I fucking don't, dog. Listen,
Oh my god.
I-
We're gonna get
I
into it again.
fucking
This is
don't-
it. This is it. It's happening again.
I don't hate those new
bang.
games. Also, I think those new games are fucking way more exciting and interesting than that fucking movie.
But
they're
Brett-
not even in. Those could be your favorite fucking games, and you could still think that movie.
The movie
sucks.
was basically the plot of the first game.
But Brad,
Except
did you,
bad in
Brad, did you
budget
see
and
the reviews for the
boring.
new Tomb Raider though?
great.
the movie.
They weren't. The game. They weren't that good.
No.
Didn't even sell 1 million copies. It was not a success.
Wait, the new Tomb Raiders?
Oh, he's talking about Square Enix wanting to sell like 6 million copies of that fucking
no.
game.
Hey, I don't. I absolutely don't hate those
It
games.
was mediocre at best, Brad.
No, I think those games are better than mediocre. I think it's hard to get
Are
excited.
you gonna
about
play
this
the new one?
Absolutely, man.
Okay. All right.
Brad, I
Yeah,
was
don't
fucking
don't
making
pay, don't pay me as a Tomb Raider
making a
hater.
joke from last week. You fucking doof.
I missed it.
Keep
sorry.
going. You're leading the news, Brad.
Uh,
I'm not steering this ship. I'm not
okay.
fucking this chicken or whatever.
So,
that's-
CD Projekt Red CEO confirms another Witcher sequel.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he says it's not going to be Witcher 4.
Witcher 3.5.
well, I mean that. First of all, I
Witcher
didn't.
prequel?
I was listening to somebody else discuss this, and they implied that Geralt's story
Are
kind
they
of wraps
making
up.
it
Well, it's
a
a
new-
trilogy.
are they
was
making
a
it a
trilogy
new-
and it's done.
Series.
First, let me
Fucking
let me get this.
so.
Let me get this thought out. So,
All right.
I heard somebody else talking about it. They said basically Geralt's story wraps up like kind of conclusively in Blood and Wine, which is the only DLC I've never played for Witcher 3.
It's a good DLC. It's a really
kind of
good
feel like I need to go
DLC.
back and play Blood and Wine. I have it. I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet. So I feel like I'm missing a big important chunk of The Witcher 3.
You are.
Yeah. I mean, Ciri's not in it, so sort of, but yeah.
She's not in it.
No. She doesn't need to be in it though.
I mean, if
just
they're
because
going to
it's that
continue,
good.
if they're going to continue making games in the Witcher series, I think it's very likely it's going to be Ciri focused, right? Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only problem is there a canon ending to Witcher 3?
Mm-hmm.
Ciri's in very different places in the different endings.
Yeah.
Also, you want to do a prequel because
Prequel.
all the exciting
Well, you
stuff that
want-
happens in her life
you wanna
happens
see-
in the lead up to Witcher 3.
Exactly. You want to see that gap
Yeah.
of like the beginning. You see when she's young, and then you see her when she's back and stuff. You want to see that happen in between
Oh, yeah.
those.
She goes through some shit,
Yeah.
including traveling through space and time.
Yeah.
So that's exciting, right? Because I guess we always kind of knew they wouldn't like completely abandon
I mean,
Witcher, but the idea that we get a Witcher universe game, maybe where you don't play as Geralt, is both scary but kind of exciting. I mean, obviously, if it's Ciri or if it's Yennefer or if it's these characters that you know that are great, you know that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
But Ciri, we know, is a character that has a large portion of her life where Geralt wasn't around.
What if it's Dandelion Hero? And it's like Guitar Hero.
Oh my god. No.
But you have like a fucking loot. Yeah.
I will say this. It is exciting because I want more Witcher, but it is also unexciting because it's probably like 10 years off. Because the Witcher, because there is talk about Cyberpunk 2077 still being like 5 years away.
What? Really?
Yeah. I
don't believe that.
There is no.
They said it's being designed with current generation in mind. So
that's vague.
Yeah. Unlike what
and there's talk about only being
Todd
like
Howard
2 to 3
said,
years left in this generation. Tops.
As opposed to Todd Howard, who said that space
Starfield
and
next gen
Space
Scrolls is being designed with next gen in mind, but is still probably going to be suggesting that there's also going to be like a cross gen thing. But that is not what CD Projekt Red said. So
no, but
we might, it might take a couple years, but I definitely think we're going to see it this generation.
Oh, what's next, Brad?
Okay. Well, I mean, I could probably slide out of here. Y'all want to talk about Darksiders 3?
I watched that footage. I mean, that's more of just a release date. I watched that 11 minutes of footage that IGN posted. It looks, first of all, I will say this.
Combat.
It looks like the footage did not show off anything that I have come to expect.
Puzzles, platforming, Zelda dungeon.
Yeah, it was literally just him running through like a subway. Like a dilapidated like subway that's been like overgrown with like nature and shit, and like fighting these like bug creatures.
So it's like near
Fury.
She.
I mean, I think the game maybe looks like it's come a long way since we last saw it. As far like visually, I think it looks a little bit better, but like combat wise, like the video is just completely uninteresting. There's nothing to glean from that got me excited in any real way.
It's gonna be a Souls-like.
I mean, yeah.
Also, Mark Hamill's back. Is what people are saying.
Yeah, because they actually hit because he played the what's the name of the character?
I don't remember.
You see him in the footage, so yeah.
I don't think people know what his name is. No one cares that much about
the guy that you talk to at like the save points and stuff, and you upgrade your character through. But they got a release date. It's coming out November 27th. That is officially a 2018 game.
I'm a little unsure based on what we've seen and the fact that this is a new studio. Yeah. Started with former talent.
I'm a little worried. I'm also a little sorry. Soul Glove says Vulgrim. Vulgrim is his name. So thank you for that. But fuck, what was I gonna say? Shit,
Code Vein got delayed. I mean, that's not really.
That's not what I was gonna say. What is up with Fury's hair in Darksiders 3? Is there a reason why it looks like it's floating?
Fury and she goes fire. It's supposed to look like fire, and it actually turns into fire, and it makes more sense when it does that.
But like when it's not fire, it just looks like pink floating hair.
It's just a stylized.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
It's just.
I'm not saying that they nailed the look, but it's obviously a look they were going for.
I'm just saying it's a little weird.
It's fire. Watch that footage again. It turns to fire at some point. Hey, Naughty Dog confirms that Ellie will have an NPC companion in The Last of Us 2.
Yes, I think this is a big deal. Because we've seen a lot. We've seen bits and pieces of The Last of Us 2. Obviously, they made its gameplay debut.
Is there NPC companion Joel?
What? What aspect is making it a big deal for you? What do you mean?
The fact that you're going to be playing through The Last of Us 2 as Ellie, but you're going to have another unnamed NPC character with you along the entire way. I feel like that's a big deal.
Is it like
I think a lot of people
it could be that makes it a big deal to you?
No, I think it's
like
the fact
Naughty
that
Dog games always have companions.
What's that face, Nick?
I don't know. I guess I didn't expect that. I mean, to me, this was a huge deal. Like when I read that, I was like, "Oh shit!" Because I think everyone had this impression after seeing it at E3 that you were playing the game as Ellie, and she was going to be in this like super focused like revenge epic quest, you know. Yeah. And she was going to be by herself, and I don't know. And they're still being very vague about where Joel is. I don't think it's going to be Joel. They're keeping something close to the chest about Joel.
Well, I'm sure why not. Yeah,
and that leads me to believe that I would be shocked if that's the NPC character that you're playing through, and it just makes me wonder, like, who are you playing with? Is the girl that we see with her in the trailer is she along with probably her on this quest?
It's probably the other guy that came up to the bar.
Yeah. Oh, it could be. Yeah, totally could be.
But I hope it's a lady.
Ooh. Maybe some nights are a little bit cold and they gotta snuggle.
It just seemed, first of all,
I just like ladies.
It just seemed to me.
They don't have to smooch.
It seemed to me like
I didn't say smooch. I said cuddle.
It seemed to me like the reception of Last of Us 2 while people were very impressed from a technical standpoint, we're also a little concerned that maybe it was lacking the human element that The Last of Us needs. And I'm just saying that confirming that she's going to have an NPC with her at all times to kind of tell her story. Maybe not at all times, but like it's going to spend a good chunk of the game with an NPC character by her side, very much the way she was to Joel, implies that there's going to be.
Honestly, I can't even imagine. Like, I don't want to play the Last of Us game without a companion. I don't want to play that.
I know.
And I think about all the
I feel the same way. That's why
walking up to Ellie and triggering conversations and stuff. That's where so much of the characterization and quality writing in those games come from. Same
I agree. I completely agree. But I was kind of going into this, kind of preparing myself that this was going to be kind of like a solo. Like, she's on a fucking mission and she wants to do her thing, and I was worried that might be. I mean, not to say that there's not ways to tell that story and introduce that human element if she's by herself, but
Jesus.
What?
Hey, Ban's writing his name. Just saying.
Got him.
I missed it. I fucking missed it. We do a live show here. Oh, Jesus Christ! Ban him again.
Bring him back and ban him.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, I'm gonna.
I guess it was a bigger deal for me than
for the audio listeners. Someone said something not very nice,
and we fucking banned them.
Ban it was a timeout.
We should ban them. Anyways,
We should ban them.
ban Hammer.
Bye,
All right.
Brad.
Bye, Brad.
Didn't even want you here.
I guess we're gonna bring Chris Davis
Bye,
over
Brad.
here if that's at all possible. Okay. Although we can't do it. You can't. We might need you to
Bring any necessary materials for Saturday.
We'll talk about. Oh my god, great podcast material. Okay, are you able to still switch the things from over there? Or
not really, but that's okay.
Don't we still have news topics?
No,
that was the last one.
that was it.
Other than Code Vein.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
never
Code
mind.
Vein,
That was
whatever.
the last of the news topics. I thought there were still like 2 or 3 more. There was a lot of stuff on there. I guess we covered it all quicker than I was expecting. Anyways, hello, Chris Davis. Welcome to the couch. Have you composed yourself yet?
Now I am.
All right, wonderful. Okay, Nolan,
What's up?
it's time.
Do it. Come on, community. Woo, 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 woo. Patrons. All right, patrons. We have one new patron this week. Dano.
Oh, Dano.
Nice.
Thank you, Dano, for
Dano.
supporting us on
What?
Patreon.
Good man.
You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. We appreciate any and all pledges.
And if you do become a patron by donating at least $1, that's it, just $1 a month.
$1 a month.
You can ask us
cheap.
any question you want, like these questions from our lovely patrons this past
I
week.
hope they're good questions.
Mr. Green Toast asks, with Nick doing a Resident Evil retrospective, I was wondering what the other podcasters would do a retrospective on if a brand new game for one of their favorite franchises suddenly got a new game out of nowhere. For example, I'm currently doing my retrospective by playing all of the Kingdom Hearts games on PS4 since the release of Kingdom Hearts 3 is out next year.
Oh,
Clearly,
God.
Fallout, because that's what I'm fucking doing. I'm not, I mean, I'm
Then
playing...
you should go back and... See, the thing is, if you're going to do a retrospective or like a series run, like
I
you
started playing
gotta,
Fallout 1, and that game's a piece of shit.
Okay,
so
maybe you should...
I decided I wanted to play a good Fallout game, so I started
Fair
playing
enough.
Fallout 3 and New Vegas.
Years ago, I did a series run of Splinter Cell for Blacklist.
See, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What about you, Krispy? What brings light to your life that would make you want to do a series run?
Fucking no. My soul is a black pit. I have no joy.
You have a little joy.
Maybe like I don't know. I don't like. I don't know. I can't think of one. Like I was thinking about Monster Hunter because I've been playing Monster Hunter. But
That would
like,
be a hell of a
going
series.
back and playing,
Yeah.
going back and playing all the old Monster Hunter games would. I feel like not. It just wouldn't be the same. You know, it wouldn't be the same effect as doing like more narrative games like Resident Evil.
That's true.
Shit, I don't know.
Nolan,
man.
didn't you do a Metal
Maybe
Gear Solid
something like-
series run at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When 5 was announced, I think, or when 5 was about to come out,
Metal Gear would be a cool
I
one.
ran through all of them. Yeah.
I honestly don't remember that.
Maybe
I did-
Halo.
Fuck you.
I used to be really
Sorry.
into Halo.
Yeah, Halo would be a
I'm
good
not
one.
as into it anymore. But like those first three, like
There's
the
nothing
original
wrong with
Halo
cherry
trilogy,
picking for a series
was really
run.
into it.
And ODST.
I did. Yeah.
Oh yes, he was cool. Yeah.
I also did a series run of Silent Hill last year, which I started when they announced Silent Hills. And then
Cool.
We all
I
know
could
what
do
that. We
Dark
all know what
Souls.
happened with that one.
All right, moving on. Next question from Ravixi. If you were replaced...
Is it Revixie or Revix?
I say Revixie because I do what I want. And
he can correct us.
I believe
in
it's
the comments.
Ravish.
Nick, did you know that this is America?
I
Revixie asks,
not so
if
sure
you were
anymore.
placed in Deus Ex/Cyberpunk-esque world and augmentations were becoming the norm, would you guys get any? If so, what would be your first one? What would be your limit? Would it be your arms or legs, or would you go as far as keeping your brain with all the rest being robotic?
Okay, I feel someone asked this question before because I remember we talked about getting like bionic penises or something.
Why is that the first place you go, Nick?
I'm just
what? No,
I mean
I almost would be curious about eyes.
What about bionic rectums? I'm sorry.
I mean,
bionic eyes might be cool. I don't know.
I think there'd be a lot of potential for eyes. Because you could like
get one of those things like that.
Talk about getting X-ray eyes, and that's just creepy.
Calm
like that,
down, Nick.
It's creepy.
Like that movie X-Ray, or not X-Ray. That movie Upgrade. Get
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. It's just like an operating system for your body.
I heard that was pretty good.
Kinda, yeah.
I haven't
Isn't
watched
Upgrade a pimp?
I hear it's not bad.
Upgrade with 2 Ds for a double dose of his pimpin' flavor. Yeah, I don't know, like something like Adam Jensen's where he has like his little sunglass mod thing is kind of cool.
Yeah,
but like getting robotic arms and legs sounds terrifying.
Dude, I would get legs.
Like, could you imagine like having 2 robot arms and you can never feel anything? Like, you can't touch
I would
anything?
assume you could. There was some sort of haptic feedback, so you could feel.
I don't think his does.
I would do new legs.
How you would crush your penis if you tried to like touch it.
We don't do that.
I mean,
Nolan.
people
That's
have
inappropriate.
bionic limbs nowadays, and they train to like to do like high dexterity movements. They don't necessarily need a sense of touch to do that. You just have to learn how to use it. But like, even if it did, like an electronic haptic feedback might not be the same thing as like feeling the breeze on your flesh. You know, touching your lover's skin. You know.
Oh my god, that's pretty good. Right. You know what? I would get legs for 2 reasons. One, because my fucking left knee sucks, and I would love to get another knee.
Yeah.
Second,
what if you just replace the knee?
Second, it would be cool to have 2 robotic legs, and then be able to become your own chair. Like, not actually need a chair, but like have them like, you know, like lock in place. Just lock, so you could just like sit up like this, but you're like in a chair, but there is no chair.
We would like go over to Nick's house and there'd be a complete absence of chairs.
Yeah, no chairs for anybody.
A telescoping rod comes out of your butt
and just like touches the ground. Yeah, there you go. See, now you're thinking.
A robotic nose, so I could turn on and off my sense of smell.
Actually, that would be kind of cool,
right?
See,
especially because sometimes I go in a bathroom and I wish I couldn't fucking smell.
Yeah.
The Soup Nazi says, Nick, if you think your balls hurt now when you graze them, you're going to be in hell with metal legs. See, here's the thing.
Robot testicles.
Robot testicle.
Everything's just a robotic sack. I mean, what would robot testicles do?
Wait, you want real testicles bouncing around in a metal pouch?
So you have like a mesh, a built-in cup. Like a mesh, like a Kevlar
but that
mesh.
Wouldn't protect it from any of the like impact. Unless it's one of those. What do they call them? I don't remember, but they have like these non-Newtonian materials where like when they move, they're very pliable. But if they take an impact, like they get rigid instantly and can't like transfer
my penis.
the impact. Yeah. Oh yeah, get a ball sack made of that.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
All right, done.
All right, moving on. Next question. From Nexus, what are some of your favorite quotes in games or movies? Are there any you actually use on a regular basis?
I've been thinking a lot about Kaz from Metal Gear Solid 5. They played us like a damn fiddle. I don't know. I'll just be like going about my day, and I just think of that.
There's also a kind of a similar note. I think Devil May Cry 1 Dante. What does he say? What does he say? She was going to fill my dark soul with light.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Holy shit. I mean, I think I'm, honestly, I prefer the more realistic dialogue, which is still kind of stilted and not great in Resident Evil 1 Remake, to the original. But, like, of course, I still, like, have fondness for the classics, like, you were almost a Jill sandwich. Or... You, Jill, the master of unlocking. Those are great. Or one of my favorites. Wait, Jill, don't open that door. It only works if you say it exactly like they deliver it.
Stop! Don't open that door.
Yes, exactly.
So I would say I have more.
Which, by the way, in Resident Evil Remake, I was like, I want to hear them say that line, so I was like, I'm gonna go open the door, and I completely forgot how they changed it, because in the original, if you open the front door to the mansion, the dog's head comes in and like tries to bite you, and then they close the door, right? In this one, if you open the door
twice, though.
No, once. If you open the door, the fucking dog doesn't just stick its head through, it dives through, and suddenly you're fighting a dog in the lobby of the fucking mansion.
But no, like at the very beginning of the game, though, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
When you have Wesker and
Yeah. I did
That's
that.
what Nick's talking about.
That's what I did. I fucked up.
I like in Dark Souls 3, pretty much anything that fucking what's his name, Sigmund or Siegfried from Katarina says.
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to lie here and have a good nap. Like,
I don't have too many from games, at least just not off the top of my head. I definitely have a lot more from like movies and TV shows that I use on the regular.
I do the Colossus shell from the X-Men game.
Which no one ever asks him to do.
It's great. Also, I would be lying if I said I didn't go to the grocery store regularly and quote the RE4 merchant every time I'm like buying shit.
Oh God!
to nobody in particular.
you say it to yourself?
Just to myself.
He's sitting here. I'm picturing him looking at two different like 1% milk and 2% milk. He's like, "What are you buying?" That's.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Oh
my
For
God.
me, it's yeah.
This guy chuckling to himself like that in a grocery store.
And the moms around just hold their children tighter.
SMG says Chris Davis leads an interesting life.
For me, it's more like movies and TV shows. Like I a lot of like Arrested Development stuff. I quote. I was texting back and forth about Bernadette today. That I was thinking about the scene from Austin Powers. I believe it's Goldmember, where he accidentally trips and unplugs the fountain of the peeing like cherub, and so he stands behind it and starts peeing, but then he's like running out, so it's like spurting, and he's like drinking water and stuff. And almost at least once a week, I think about that while I'm peeing in a urinal. I like think about that concept, or especially if I ever have asparagus, because just to make that, because that scene, just as fucking random as it is, there's like a plate of asparagus, and he starts eating it while he's trying to pee like the cherub, and like the security guard's like acting like, and it's just like so dumb. But like I constantly
Was that like that was in the third one?
I think it was the third one.
Oh my God.
I think about that. It was because they go to Japan because it's when they're in Japan.
Yeah.
I think about that at least. But anyway, I quote a lot of like Arrested Development stuff. King of the Hill. Rick and Morty has some pretty good stuff.
Venture Brothers.
I'll often like with Venture Brothers all the time. Ignore me, especially with Butters and stuff. There was the other day we gave Butters a bacon flavored thing, and Bernadette was commenting that like, hey, he smells like bacon. I was like, oh, Butters, you smell like bacon. Which is there's an episode of South Park where they fake Butters' death by dressing up a pig to look like him and throwing the pig off a building, and then they bury the pig, and Butters' dad goes to like dig him up to do like an Indian
ancient Indian burial ground,
and he's like digging him up.
Stop.
He's like digging him up. He's like, oh, Butters, you smell like bacon.
Smell like bacon.
Because it's like pig. But like stuff like that, or like when Butters, I'm giving him food, I'm always like, eat some fucking shit, you stupid fucking bitch. Which is just like a dumb line from Rick and Morty.
He's
but
so
like,
mean.
I don't often quote video games. At least I can remember. Yeah,
That's decent though. Let's move on.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on that one. Sir Thomas Thipple asks, been going to the gym for about a month to be a healthy boy. Nolan's gym story got me wondering if any of you either now or used to work out or go to the gym regularly. What gym story did I have? When I hurt my arm at the gym?
Oh, yeah.
No, I used to fucking... When I was right out of high school and like first in college, I went to the gym 6 to 7 days a week.
Jesus.
And dude,
I try to go 3 days a week, but my schedule doesn't always allow it.
When I lived with Nick, me and Nick would go to the gym sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to work out a lot, but dude, like when you get older and your job's more intense, you would be surprised how taxing a job is that you're just like fucking doing this all day. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a standing desk, so I stand most of the day, but even when I sit, like it's just mental exhaustion from having to think
the
about
last thing you want to do. The last thing I usually want to do after work is go to the gym, even though
I go home and I'm just fucking tired, and then I gotta fucking do the lawn, or I have just other shit I gotta clean up around the house, or I gotta run errands, and I still I had gotten back into the gym regularly, and then I had my accident where I messed up my shoulder, so I stopped going because of that. And
I'm never doing this again.
But yeah, so I mean, I definitely want to start going again, because I do. It's one of those things where if you're not an avid gym goer, you don't realize that working out doesn't make you tired. You honestly end up with more energy. When you work out on the regular, you have more energy.
I will say that
when you're not working out.
I usually have trouble dragging myself to the gym, but once I do, I usually feel pretty energized.
Yeah.
I will say my office that I work at is moving in December, and it's moving or building an entirely new location, and it happens to be like right next to like a really fancy gym that usually costs like $100 a month or something to get a gym, or not something, maybe not that high, like 70 or something. But because we're located in such close proximity to them, they're offering us a corporate discount, and it brings it down to about the same amount as going to like a Gold's. So I'm like,
but is it one of those like expensive gyms so there's like nobody in it?
I know it's massive.
Because that was one of the things. Like my current employer,
I think it's a Lifetime. No, not Lifetime.
What is it? LA Fitness.
Maybe it's an LA Fitness.
Anyway, but yeah, so my employer, we get a corporate discount on Gold's Gym, and it's $12 a month.
Yeah, which
is pretty fucking cheap.
Yeah,
but the problem is, I have never been to a Gold's Gym and not had it been fucking packed, and I just hate that. Like, I used to work out at Anytime Fitness, and there was never anyone there, and I fucking loved it because I never had to wait for like a machine, and like the fucking weights were always on the racks where they were supposed to be. But whenever I go to a Gold's Gym, it's like just a bunch of fucking dude bros in there.
I will say one thing I do like about Gold's is the fucking cardio theater. It's brilliant.
Yeah, cardio theater.
Brilliant concept.
Right. Yeah, ever since my job moved up north, and I went from like a 10-minute commute to work to an hour-and-a-half commute to work, I've kind of stopped going. It's just, I'm so tired when I get home from work that
Chris Davis, I need you to start a timer in your car when you leave and stop it and have it be an hour and a half. I really don't believe you're talking about both ways? Like 45 minutes and 45 minutes?
He's calling you out.
I really don't see how you can go from South Austin to North Austin and take an hour and a half.
Oh, shit.
All I know is that I'm going through...
Are you lying to us, Chris Davis?
No, it's just...
Let's move on.
You know what? I can take it, Chris. I've come to expect it, but don't lie to them. Okay? Don't lie to the listeners.
I mean, it's about an hour and a half every day.
Okay.
I can believe an hour.
If you say so.
Sometimes it's 20 minutes. I don't know.
All I know is I am going through podcasts like mad right now. I started the Adventure Zone like 2.5-3 weeks ago. I'm already halfway through that entire fucking series.
There you go, man.
Next question.
Next question from Sean, I guess. First, want to start by apologizing. I've been following you guys since about 2010, and this is the first time I've ever given feedback.
Wow.
Thinking on Nier Automata and Undertale as games, I enjoyed more going in blind. Would you guys say this is generally a better way to experience games, even when the game, or movie for that matter, isn't necessarily trying to surprise you?
I think
that's tough.
Depends on the game.
It really does depend on the game, because I feel like I think more often than not, I think it's important to be able to make an informed decision about what you're getting into, especially when games do cost like $60 a pop.
That being said, these days it's not really even $60 anymore.
It's true, but there are cases, and we've talked about Death Stranding a lot. I don't think any of us want to know what the fuck that game is until it's in our fucking hands. And I think that's gonna be that's gonna be the magic sauce right there that makes that game so magical. If it is in fact a really good game, is like going in completely blind.
But he's talking about going in 100% blind without having ever seen like a trailer. He's like picking up the box and buying it.
First of all, do people do that? Is that I can't remember the last time I walked into a store.
That's how I fell in love with Metro 2033.
I mean, there is
I knew nothing about it.
If we're talking about this from like a story experience standpoint, I do think there are some things that a game can do that it would be nice not to know that it's there before you get there. But I don't ever put too much emphasis on that or value on that. I'm not like...
Okay there? I was just thinking about bombs blowing up in vaginas.
Yeah, no. Seriously, you guys can make this joke until the day
they
put me in the fucking ground. You're going to be making this joke.
At your funeral, Crispy, I'm going to talk about it.
But seriously, like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Because here's the thing. The freshness, the surprise, the figuring it out experience that you have, that whoa, this is really cool and I don't understand what's going on, and then suddenly I do understand what's going on. You're ever only going to get that once, and that alone has never made a game truly great. The truly great games are the ones that you can go back and play 1,000 times. You can experience the same story over and over again, even if you know the beats, even if you know where it's going, even if you know where it ends, and still enjoy the ride because of how it gets there. I think that is almost infinitely more important than like the surprise and the shock and the freshness. Not that that doesn't have any value at all. I think we put too much weight on it.
Sure, I can. That's a fair argument. I think maybe it applies more to movies too, mostly because, and what you just said applies to movies for sure. But there's also something to be said about the fact that movies are 2 to 2.5 hours long. So a spoiler, like an impactful spoiler in a movie, might be more damaging to the experience of watching it than a game where you already know you're going to spend hours and hours and hours playing it.
Yeah, and a movie is a passive experience. You know?
True.
I mean, all a movie really has is the cinematography, like the sound design, and the plot, the story, character.
All you're doing is watching it and or taking it in.
Yeah. I still think, I do also still think sometimes that like spoilers in movies maybe aren't as big a deal. Like, not necessarily like how a movie ends.
It depends
but
on
like
the context
other spoiler.
Of it.
Yeah, I mean,
like
definitely.
saying something that happens in a single scene is usually not a big deal. Spoiling if someone like becomes a traitor or something like that, or maybe that you wouldn't see coming. Like, I can think of a spoiler for like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I mean, at that
point,
I
wouldn't want to have spoiled for me before going into the movie.
No, yeah, and that I know what you're talking about. That moment works really well because they do such a good job of leading up to it without like giving the game away.
Yeah.
And that's great, but like that almost more applies to stories and characters that like have some familiarity with.
Sure.
I think sometimes people go watch a movie like I honestly think that The Witch was a victim of this, in which people were sold a bill of goods on one type of movie. They went and it wasn't exactly that thing, and they're sitting there trying to figure out how this like movie that they're assuming is a puzzle box opens up into what they want it to be or are expecting it to be, and they're just not paying much
attention to what they're
not,
actually
I'm
getting?
not saying not attention, but they're not paying much mind to like what they are actually seeing. And I think that movie's really good.
It is.
And I think a lot of people maybe got shooken off of it just because of, you know, the expectation they went in with it, and maybe the fact that like they didn't know that the story was gonna play out the way it does, you know. And I almost like, there are definitely movies, and I think Hereditary was one last night. I kind of had big parts of that plot spoiled for me, and I think it helped my enjoyment of that movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll tell you this. I actually was talking to Robin earlier today, and she asked about the movie, and I was like, it was good, but it was really fucked up. And she was like, tell me what happens. And I was like, you want me to spoil? She's like, yeah, I don't really have any interest in seeing that movie. I saw the trailer. It didn't really look like it was up my alley, but I'm curious. Tell me what happens, right? So I was like, okay, fine. So I started telling her, and I told her like kind of one of the big things that happens early on. And she goes, okay, I kind of want to watch this movie now.
Yeah, that, I mean...
And I was like, all right, then I'm going to stop, because I just spoiled the shit out of this.
It seems like when you talk about older movies with people, like, they have less compunctions about, like, just telling you big plot points and things like that. And then you're like, oh, I didn't even know this thing existed, and you're telling me all these great things that happen, and it sounds like a wild ride that I want to take. We don't put the same kind of expectations on that as we do, like, new movies coming out, which is understandable, but at the same time, I think some of the impenetrableness and some of the mystery that the movie's marketing tries to use to sell the movie that maybe isn't congruous with some of the mystery or buildup that's going on in the movie itself kind of hurts our viewing experience.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Thank you for writing in first time. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Sean.
And apply that to games.
And
there you go.
There we go.
Next question is a fuck, marry, kill from Chai. Do we want to answer
Oh,
this?
no! What is it?
I mean, the answer is kill all of them.
I'm not gonna answer it, but I want to hear the choices.
Ethan from Heavy Rain, Connor from Detroit, or Mike from Until Dawn.
Dude, kill them all.
Yeah, kill them all.
Right?
Like,
Right? I mean,
there's no...
Sorry, I haven't played 2 of those 3 games.
Oh, I don't know. Connor's kind of cute.
Well, it depends on which Connor you get.
Well, I mean, what does it matter?
Well, I mean, like, when is this Connor, like,
He's a robot.
I know that. Thank you. But
it's a fucking robot. Why does it matter?
Connor at the beginning of the game, at the end of the game?
I'm
which
just,
path? Which
I'm probably going to reformat
robots.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Soup Nazi. I don't think we should answer this question either, especially after the debate from last week. Moving on. Zero Skies. What do you think Marvel will do after they finish Infinity War Part 2? Don't they already have the next 30 movies?
They'll definitely.
They have movies planned through like 2025.
They've announced the title for the second Spider-Man.
They'll definitely
film.
pack it in and decide they've made enough money.
The first movie
They'll say,
coming
you know
out,
what, DC, you guys win.
The first movie coming out post Avengers
Without
4
firing a
is
shot.
Spider-Man Far From Home, right? That's what they're calling it.
Something like that. I don't know.
Spider-Man Far From Home. And then I'm sure they already have, because we're going to get sequels to, Black Panther and I don't know what's going to become of Captain Marvel, but I'd be willing to bet that's going to be a successful movie, so we'll probably get a sequel to that. I do have a feeling the post Infinity War Marvel MCU is going to look very different.
There's going to be this weird curve where like they are just like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel for like any interesting IP that they can find, because they're just like running through all of it and like referencing all of it, and then they're going to start running out of stuff, and you're going to start seeing some weird things coming out from Marvel, and then they're finally going to get all the ink dry on all this like Fox like X-Men bullshit, get all the rights to that back, and then there's just going to be this new dump truck of like familiar characters back on us. And this is going to go on for another 30 years.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I keep hearing people talk about how, superhero movies, they're over now. And I honestly don't think they are. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, because you're over them, it's the same thing with fucking Pokemon. There's always new generations of people who will go and watch them and pay money.
There's obviously a point to be made about, like, oversaturation of the market. But at the same time, there's no denying... Like, the movies that they are making are, like...
They're pretty good movies.
They're pretty good movies. They're pretty good movies. They're making a lot of them.
If you're following superheroes as a genre with the same kind of progression that, like, most genres go through, like, we're pretty far into, like, what will be considered, like, the classical age of the superhero movie. Maybe even, like, the refined age of the superhero movie.
Yeah.
It gets weirder from here.
Yeah.
Like... Eventually, all of this is going to lose steam, and then they're just going to get really postmodernist and, like, Baroque, and, like, they're going to get fucking weird.
And I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what happens?
Kind of looking forward to
As
that.
long as they don't get too weird. It's like...
Oh, they're going to get weird.
I just worry that they might get to the point where they bring back Captain America, but they do the whole he was secretly a Hydra agent the entire time kind of thing.
Oh, you mean some of the weirder shit that...
Yeah, like too weird.
Some of the stuff that didn't quite land in the comics. But the thing is, they are still drawing inspiration from the comics, and they're able to see how audiences reacted in the comic book form.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make decisions like that purely based on the backlash that they got from the comic
There's
book.
so many other stories they could tell with those characters before they get to that spot. I don't think they will.
They just announced the director for the Black Widow movie today.
They did.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what her name is. Kate something.
But his woman.
Kate Blanco?
That's nice.
Blanche.
No, I keep wanting to say Blanchett, and I was like, it's not Blanche. That's definitely not Kate Blanchett. But Kate... Someone in chat can probably post the name, I'm sure. I don't have it in front of me. But Black Widow is officially getting a movie, so there's that.
They started releasing pictures.
Wait,
of
Nick, was it Mary Kate?
What?
And Ashley?
I hate you. I hate you, Nolan.
They released a couple pictures the other day of the Shazam film.
Wait, they're making a Shazam film?
No.
That's not an MCU movie, though, right?
No, that's a DC.
DC.
But this is the first official photo.
Who's Shazam?
Yeah.
Is that Zach Levi?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the costume. That's what he looks like.
I don't even know.
It actually looks like,
dude, that doesn't
really
look bad.
refreshing. It looks like something completely different than what
vibrant.
they've been doing.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Shazam is.
Shazam. Okay, so Shazam.
Billy.
It used to be Captain Marvel, but there was a whole thing with Marvel. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So this is like old school, like golden age comic book characters. This kid named Billy Batson.
Yeah,
He's an orphan, and he meets a wizard named Shazam, and the wizard gives him the powers of like 6 mythical heroes like Hercules and the wisdom of Solomon and Apollo, and I can't remember all of them. But when he says Shazam, he turns into an adult
gets
superhero
struck by lightning.
called Captain Marvel, well now called Shazam, who is essentially, like, if you're looking at him from a tropes perspective, is essentially Magic Superman.
Yeah.
So, like, the whole point of Shazam was, I mean, he wasn't invented by DC. I think they acquired him somewhere along the way. I don't remember from who. But, like, the whole thing with him in DC is that, like, he can fight Superman kind of like one-on-one. Because one of Superman's like big weaknesses besides kryptonite is magic.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so yeah,
He's kind of like, think of Tom Hanks' character in Big.
Yeah,
but make him a
Shazam can fly.
superhero.
yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
are they working
So like
him
he's
into the
still a kid.
Yeah, he's
like
still a
when
kid.
when he's Shazam, he's still like 11-year-old Billy Batson,
Just in that-
and still acts
yeah.
like, but he's like an adult with magic superpowers.
So are they working him into the DC?
Yeah, they're doing a DCEU movie.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Interesting.
When you first said Shazam, I was thinking of the Shaq movie, but that's Kazam.
That's because
Yeah.
two very different things.
I just remember the mounds of.
Shazam is the Sinbad genie movie
Yes.
that doesn't exist.
I know.
So
That, guys, that's still blowing my mind to this
That it
day.
doesn't actually
that
exist.
doesn't actually exist.
That is something you. Well, I'm not starting this again.
Okay. I just remember from.
But you're a little bit racist.
I just remember from Kazam, like the mounds of junk food, like the pizza and the burgers raining from the sky.
The sky.
I just remember that. But anyway, that last question was from Zero Skies. Thanks to all of our patrons from questions this week. We appreciate them all. Once again, every week we post a thread on patreon.com/4player where you can ask us any question you want as long as you are a patron who donates $1 or more.
Yep, and you can also find our podcast there on the Patreon activity feed without any ads.
Yep.
And 24 hours early, so check that shit out. All right, anyways, it is time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. Who would like to go first? Usually it's Brad, but Chris Davis is sitting in Brad's spot.
Do it. I'm the best. All right. First, my 4-player minute starts now. My hype is last Christmas. Bernadette got me a sous vide cooker.
A what?
Sous vide.
Sous vide.
It's
yeah.
like water bath or whatever. It's
Boiling.
French. It's essentially you put stuff in either an airtight bag and you cook it in the water and it cooks exactly to that temperature. So if you're cooking like steak or something and you wanted exactly this temperature, you cook it to that. It comes out all gray and gross looking, but then you give it a nice sear and it's the perfect temperature. And we finally started using it and we've used it like 3 or 4 times now. And holy shit, it's fucking amazing. Like everything I've cooked with, like best steak I've ever had. We did a whole fucking 2.5-pound pork loin in the thing, and just like everything has been so fucking good. And I'm just like, I just keep thinking of all this stuff. Oh, I can cook this, and I can cook this, and oh, I can do a hamburger. Technically, I could cook a hamburger in there, and like just all the things I want to do with it now. And I'm hyped about that. My sweat is for Fallout. I don't want to get burnt out on it. I've been playing so much fucking Fallout and enjoying the shit out of it, but I really hope I don't like burn myself out on it right before Fallout 76 comes out and be like, fuck this game.
I'm a little worried I'm doing that with Resident Evil. But hey, fuck it, I don't care.
Possible. My thank you is going to go to chat. My past couple of streams and over the nights I've been talking with them about animes because I don't watch too many, but I hear so much about good ones, and so I've been trying to get into some like not like the 500 episode series, but kind of shorter ones that are concise and kind of universally accepted as pretty good. Thanks, Beck. Which leads into my fuck you, which is myself, because I got a bunch of anime recommendations from chat, and I've already gone through the first season of one of them. And that's my problem, is I can't like just start watching a show and then watch one episode a day or one every other day. I'll fucking watch like 6 episodes in a row.
I think that ship sailed for me. I keep trying to like watch Dragon Ball again.
Oh, that's different, Nick. The one I watched, for those that don't know, was My Hero Academia. I really enjoyed the first season of that. It's essentially it's about like in society, all of a sudden people started being born with superpowers. It's just like a genetic, and randomly they just have crazy fucking weird powers and stuff. There's like a person who anything he touches can just like, it just loses gravity, just floats. Yeah. And like some of them, they're pretty fucking lame. Some are cool. There's like a guy who can turn, he has like a bunch of extra arms, and he can turn any part of the end of his arm into like another body part, like a mouth or like an ear, like random, but like he can actually be really
weird
helpful.
And creepy.
There's a guy that can like freeze things or cool things. There's a guy whose power is to negate other people's powers. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. And the story revolves around this one kid who doesn't have any powers. And and JoJo's on my list, poke up.
But it turns out he has the greatest power of all.
No.
Love.
No, that's not accurate at all. Okay. I'm not going to say what happens, but it is very interesting, and I definitely highly recommend it.
Cool.
At least I'm done with the first season. But yeah, no, like I literally have like 6 or 7 animes now I want to check out. There's one that Try was telling me about. It's only 13 episodes, which just sounds perfect for me because I can probably knock that out in 2 sittings. That's about like the devil who works at like a McDonald's.
The devil's a part-timer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like he's like got to serve up the best like fries or something, and that just sounds interesting to me. That like I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. I kind of want to watch it. There's a bunch of Big Wazoo. Are you kidding me? I've seen Golden Boy at least 10 times. That's a perfect thing for something I quote all the time. Fuck, what does he say?
But he can't quote it right now.
Study is life. Life is study. There you go. Life is study. You gotta study, Nick. You gotta learn, and you gotta, dude. You should watch Golden Boy, Nick. That Golden Boy is it's only 6 episodes long, very short anime, but pretty good.
Are you trying to tell me there's boobs in this show? Is that
that's like that's only the start.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I like boobs. Krispy.
All right, my 4-player minute begins. My hype is for Pit People. Nice. I've been kind of waiting for that game for a long time, so much so that I kind of forgot that it was in development, and then it just kind of came out, and I'm going to go play that on Brad's Steam account tonight when I get home.
When he's asleep.
When he's asleep. My sweat is for, while we were sitting here talking about Resident Evil Remake, I remembered that I never finished The Evil Within.
Wow.
And I got pretty far in that game.
You should finish that game.
And I was actually kind of wanting to play the second one.
The second
one's good.
So, shit. Gotta find time for that at some point. My fuck you is, I don't really want to get into it here, but, man, fuck Mike O'Brien from AreaNet. There was some fucking shitty firings over the weekend that I don't agree with, and depending on what side of the issue you fall on, either way, I think just firing these people was...
This was the Guild Wars 2 thing, right?
Absolutely a mistake. But hey, you do you, fucking shithead. And my thank you for the week goes to Carlos for completely leaving me in the lurch on a 4-player minute. He was supposed to give me one as per our cash agreement.
That's 3 weeks in a row.
And he stiffed me.
3
what
weeks
a dick.
in a row.
So that's a sarcastic thank you to Carlos.
All right, fantastic. Chris Davis.
Okay. I have 3 hypes this week, actually. The first one I can't actually tell you about, though.
Okay.
Because it's a game that's coming out after a game that comes out tomorrow that's been announced but hasn't shown off, and I kind of want to play it, but I'll talk about it next week.
The fuck?
What?
You'll find out next week. My second hype is for Godzilla King of the Monsters, because they released some of the first pictures from that film today. And one of them is just Godzilla doing his atomic breath into the fucking heavens. It's awesome looking.
Look
and they've revealed...
what did Chris Davis just say? Can someone play that back? I have no idea.
And it looks really fucking good. And San Diego Comic-Con is in just, 2 weeks or so?
Yep.
So that trailer's probably going to drop there, so I'm really hyped for that.
Among other things that are probably going to drop there?
Like some turds in the bathroom. Because there's a bunch of people using the bathroom at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, some of those people are pooping. They're dropping turds. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. My third hype is for The Dragon Prince. This is a brand new series coming to Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I saw
from
that.
the guy that created the Avatar animated series, The Last Airbender and Korra. And those are exceptionally good series, and I'm like, I've been waiting to see what he's been working on, because it's been like 3 or 4 years since Korra at this point.
Yeah.
So definitely glad to see that. And my one sweat is for Fully Cooley Alternative.
What?
Because that recently finished its run on Adult Swim, and I've been hearing less than stellar things about it.
Well, I have too. I'm going to watch it, and I'm excited to.
Yeah, me too.
I'm tempering my expectation, but only because, that is a show that you just know was Like, oh, they're doing a new season of Fooly Cooly here 10,
like you
15
can't
years
capture
after
that
the fact.
magic from
I mean, even if they do, or even if it's like something else that's good but different, like people were just not. That was not. I mean, that's like the exact same reaction that like DC would get from being like, "Hey, we're doing more Watchmen." It doesn't matter how good it was gonna be. People were just like, "No, you can't do that." Like,
also, I'm going to throw in a hype for Override, a game that was announced today. It's a mech brawler game. But it's got a co-op mode for 4 people in which you all control the same mech. So one person has one arm, one has another arm.
It's like a battle.
One has a leg, the other leg.
Everybody's trying to move it in different directions.
It's like Robot Alchemic Drive, except slightly competent.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. What? My 4-player minute starts now. What? My hype this week is actually I picked up Jurassic World Evolution. I'm going to talk about that with Chris Davis on next week's 4Player Plus, because we're going to finally have that conversation about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, because we're still the only 2 people on the fucking couch that have seen that movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I mean, there's no one else on that couch, Nick.
Oh. Sorry, in this room. in this room. So we're going to talk about Fallen Kingdom, and we're going to kind of tie it into our time with Jurassic World Evolution, but I'm only gonna be able to play like 2 or 3 hours before that podcast goes. But next week I'll be able to talk more in depth about Jurassic World Evolution, and I'll bring footage so we can talk about it on the show. Yeah. So I'm excited to play and talk about that. My sweat is for Octopath Traveler tomorrow. The reviews hit today. It is reviewing strong, but all of the criticism against the game that I have read does kind of confirm the fears that we talked about, that Brad was talking about on the show a few weeks ago. That's not to say that the game isn't going to be without merit or value or fun, but it is still kind of a bummer.
No, I think all of us were super excited for it. Not only in what the game is, but the fact that it's a old school RPG on the Switch, which we all want fucking games for our Switches. Yeah. And it's like I said, a classic RPG with a great art style, and we were all excited for it. And when you hear that there's a game that looks great and it's on a console you want it to be on, and then doesn't play that great and the story's kind of
everything I've read a few of the reviews today, and a lot of them have been talking about how it does play really well, and some of the stories most of the stories are good and well written, if not a little predictable. But the biggest takeaway, the biggest thing that had me concerned is what Brad was talking about, where it's like none of the characters really ever, their stories don't really cross. Ever.
Yeah. And sorry. And once again, that was kind of a big thing for me, because as soon as we learned the game's focused on 8 different like main characters, I'm like, I can't wait to see how they interact with each other. Yeah. And then hearing that they
don't really get that,
it's kind of like, well, it's kind of just almost seems like 8 different games that are set in the same place.
But those individual stories do apparently have merit, and they stand on their own. So I am planning on picking this up tomorrow and playing it.
I'll wait for 4 years from now when it goes on sale for $10.
That's fair. But I will be talking about this next week. I'll be playing it throughout the week, so I'll report back next week.
Cool.
My thank you of the week goes to Krispy for coming out last night to watch Hereditary with me.
Hey, thanks.
I didn't want to be alone.
It was a lovely date. We shared fried pickles and popcorn.
We did share fried pickles.
And Nick got scared and hugged up close to me. It was really sweet.
And the stranger to my left.
And the stranger.
Yeah, but thanks. That was fun. And I actually did really enjoy the movie, despite the fact that it did kind of fuck me up. And my fuck you of the week. I don't really have a fuck you of the week. I think,
give it to EA.
No, I was trying to think of something Hereditary related, because there was a lot of things in that movie that I could say fuck that.
Fuck you, ghosts.
Fuck. I mean, it's not even about what you think it's about, I think. But like, so last week Brad said something to me. He was like, he was talking about like, I was like, is the movie scary or whatever? He's like, well, I guess it depends. How do you feel about this? And I was like, that sounds fucking horrifying. It's like, oh, this is gonna scare the shit out of you. And he was right. So fuck you to the creepy horror trope where you see people that are like smiling really creepily in places they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? There's a few movies out there that do this shit, and it scares the shit out of me every single time, but that movie drove it home last night like hard. So yeah, fuck that.
It's especially scary when they have their penises out.
Yeah, that is also true. Naked smiling people, man, fuck that.
That's a little rapey there.
Also, I'm changing my fuck you. It goes to Carlos. Fuck you.
Wait, is there for any
for
particular
stealing
reason?
tweets?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus
What he
Christ.
does.
Is he pulling numbers away from you?
No, probably not. And I doubt he's going to get too many, but still, fuck you, Carlos.
Oh, man.
Little dweeb.
Yeah.
It'd be great if Marvel retweeted him.
That would be great. Anyways, that's our show tonight, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for listening. This is 4Player Podcast. We'll be back next Thursday night around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be talking about Project Octopath Traveler. I don't know why I said Project. It hasn't had Project in the title for a long time. Yeah. Octopath Traveler. We'll talk about Jurassic World Evolution, among other things. Tune in next Monday night for our next... Oh, my God. That scared the shit out of me.
Thanks, Wendy.
Tune in next Monday night for my next stream. I'll be playing my Resident Evil Remake, but you can also tune in a little bit early. We'll be recording another episode of 4Player Plus. We'll be talking about, like I said, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom with Chris Davis here. And go download this week's episode of 4Player Plus. We talked about Ant-Man and the Wasp. A lot of good movies. You know, we're in the middle of the summer movie deluge. A lot of movies out there to talk about. So go download that if you haven't yet. We had a fun time recording it. And, of course, thank you guys for listening and watching us live. You can watch us every single night at 4pp.tv. And you can find our audio podcast and all of those, you know, all the audio podcast services you would expect.
Yep.
So, anyways, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week for another episode. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.